It's my absolute pleasure to welcome you again to the AM show for today, Tuesday. Now, for this show this morning, like we always do, we'll be serving you the news. That is the first news bulletin on this channel. And after that, Dr. Wisdom Dogbe, who's a financial analyst, will be joining us to get into the newspaper review. And AM Sport will come your way next, and Muftan Abil Abdullahi will be here with the latest update. And then we have our big conversations. Now, two major conversations on our tables for our big stories today. First, National Democratic Congress defies EC and directs its agents to be present in all stations to observe the EC's transfer of votes and replacement of cards exercise, accusing the Commission of gerrymandering. Is the EC justified in its decision not to allow the presence of political party agents at the various stations? We'll delve into this issue and how the EC will treat this defiance. Also, how is Ghana protecting its boundaries, and why is it even important to tackle the issues arising from the lack of clear boundary delimitation and demarcation in Africa? We'll tell you more as we host the Boundaries Commission later on in the show. So you're welcome to join us with your comments and your thoughts. This is the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi, and I do this with Benjamin Akapo. Now, let's get into the news for the day. This is the AM News. Let's start with details now. It's all joy for students and teachers of Verumase DA Junior High School in the Ashanti region, who now have a fully renovated classroom block following a Joy News report which highlighted the deplorable conditions they were studying in. Students and teachers who until recently have been competing with reptiles in deplorable structures to learn now enjoy classes in a more conducive environment. It follows the rehabilitation of a 70-year-old dilapidated classroom block after Joy News exposed the plight of the students and teachers 3 years ago. My colleague Oheming Tewia, who first told their story, has more in this report.
Students of Betumasi DAJHS bask in joy and ecstasy as they entertain themselves and guests with choreography performance. They are happy because they'll be studying in more friendly classrooms for the first time in several years. Visibly cracked walls and floors, ripped off roofs, greeted the visitor to the school. Not only were the classrooms without windows, but they also gave free access to intruders, including weed smokers. Snakes and reptiles easily found comfort in classrooms, exposing lives to danger. No wonder the student population kept dipping, currently at 52 for the entire school. It was fanfare as District Director of Education, George Edu Abrokwa, advised parents to desist from leading attacks on teachers.
I am begging you to live in harmony with the teachers. By doing so, we will together help raise these kids. Live in peace with all teachers. Please don't take the law into your hands and attack the teachers. Report all erring teachers to my office for redress. Don't assault teachers because when you do, you disgrace the community.
Elated teachers who commended Joy News for the support are convinced the new facility will improve teaching and learning outcomes in the school. Castro Osekankam is the headmaster.
It was worse as we can describe it. But we thank Joy News for coming into the picture to help. When Joy News captured, the whole thing went, say, international. Let me put it that way. And then all students from this town who are overseas came to the rescue of the school. So that is the impact that Joy News has brought to Bedumasi DAJHS.
Meanwhile, school authorities have launched a fundraising campaign to resource the school with an ICT lab.
In this modern world, education has gone far, and we need computers to help our students to learn very well, in order to compete with those in the Ashanti region, the Kumasi metropolis, Greater Accra, and other places, since all the students write computing during BEC. So we want the masses to come and help us so that we establish an ICT center where we can teach the students how to use the computer.
From Bedomasi in the Ashanti region for Joy News, Ohemi Interior reporting.
President Akufo-Addo has assured the people of Jurapa municipality of the commitment of the government to ensuring that justice prevails in the trial of persons accused of killing the owner of Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, that is Jurapa, Dubai, Eric Johnson. Now, Eric Johnson was gruesomely murdered on February 11 this year at his private residence at Jurapa. Speaking at his funeral service at Jurapa, Minister of State of the Office of the President, Ambrose Derry, speaking on behalf of President Akufo-Addo, said that they will ensure that justice is brought to the perpetrators of the crime. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam was at Jurapa and now reports.
Jurapa has said goodbye to arguably its most famous business tycoon and philanthropy extraordinaire in a historic day marked by moments of emotion and grief. Tens of thousands of people traveled to the Jurapa Yerpue Park for the poignant Requiem funeral service. Eric Johnson was later privately buried at the compound of his private residence, where he was gruesomely murdered almost 4 months ago. It followed an emotional day for grieving members of his nuclear family and by extension the Jurapa royal family, where his mother hailed from, and kinsmen from the Walimairi clan. Also among the mourners were Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Alban Somana Kinsport Babin, who knew Eric Johnson for over 3 decades, Minister of State at the Office of the President, Ambrose Derry, who represented the President of the Republic, and Supreme Court Judge Justice Emmanuel Yonikulendi, and they all sat on the front pew. The event was officiated by 9 priests and led by the Ward Assistant Administrator, the Very Reverend Father Cornelius Nabayirunoba.
Him who takes away the sins of the world. Blessed are those called to the supper of the Lamb.
There was space for several tributes. Her daughter gave a touching eulogy mixed with beers of tears centered on the love Eric Johnson had for them.
Eric's profound affection for his daughters knew no bounds. He cherished them dearly and proudly extolled their virtues whenever the occasion arose. His pride and love for them were palpable in every interaction. Before his passing, Eric was graciously bestowed with the joy of meeting his beloved grandchildren, a testament to the abundant blessings bestowed upon his family by the grace of God.
Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Kinsport Babin, pointed out that there are a lot of lessons to be learned from the death of Eric Johnson beyond mourning him.
Eric was more than good. The wicked reigns, but for only a short while. The devil thought he was prevailing against Jesus. So they thought they were killing Eric Johnson. Unknown to both, what they rather do is to give everlasting life.
Minister of State at the Office of the President, Ambrose Derry, assured the mourners of ensuring that justice prevails.
His death was bizarre to all of us, but the Ghana Police Service worked very hard and got to the bottom of the matter, arrested a suspect, and the suspect is now before court. All I can say is that while I share the sentiments, the spiritual angle of forgiveness, but Jesus said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. In Caesar's world, we believe that justice would be done in the case of the Republic versus the suspect that we've got.
Paramount Chief of Jiruba, now Justice Dina Donlobon Ghana III tribute was read on his behalf.
In the quietude of my heart, I mourn the loss of a visionary, a stalwart in business, and a beacon of hope, especially for the youth who looked up to him for guidance and encouragement, my esteemed elder brother, Eric Johnson. He was a true titan in the realm of philanthropy, entrepreneurship, and tourism promotion.
An electric generator that lies several blocks in the Jiruba municipality and beyond now has his life snapped out, truncating the dreams and aspirations of millions of people in the municipality. For the millions of people who thronged the Nile Park for the funeral of Eric Johnson, his 60 years life was well lived. Reporting for the news, Rafik Salam, Jiruba.
Away from that, in today's Filth exhibition series, Rejoice Semefakbesu takes us to the streets of Ashaman, where the lack of rubbish bins is forcing residents to discard waste in the middle of the roads. Here's the report.
The streets of Ashaman are currently engulfed in filth. Filth creating a public health hazard. This has become an eyesore for both residents and visitors. The stretch from the Ashaman Underbridge to Aferiwa has been particularly affected, with piles of rubbish packed along the middle of the road. The lack of rubbish bins in the area has made the situation worse, forcing residents and passers-by to discard their waste on the streets. This has led to a buildup of trash that includes household waste, plastic bottles, and other pieces of scattered rubbish. Even though the situation is worrying, the residents say they are tired of complaining because their complaints will do very little. Madam Agnes is a resident.
We are worried about the rubbish issue. Some residents give their rubbish to these junkies and they in turn dispose of them behind people's homes and on the streets. Whenever it rains, some people dispose of their refuse into the gutters. You can't even talk about it because you get attacked. We are pleading with government to help.
D-Trip, who is a resident and trades in menswear, expresses frustration over the persistent issue.
Myself, one time I noticed that we lack dustbins. I even complained to the municipal assembly some time ago that the reason why the dust are always on the streets, or let's say the rubbish are always on the streets, is the result of no dustbins. You understand? You can look around from here to what do you call it? Presby Junction. There's no dustbin. From here to Ashasek, or let's say runabout, there are no dustbins. The junkies that they carrying the trash to. Whenever they carry the trash, they will take the money. They will come to the streets to take the money, or come to your various places or your houses to take the money. And when they take the trash, they will not take it to the right place that they have to dump it. So when they get to the traffic here, they notice that here there is a no man's land. So they will just leave it and they will run away. You know, junkie, you cannot go and attack a junkie. You see, yes, all this is because of we don't have proper waste management.
Pounds has, however, attributed the situation to a shirking of responsibility from the leadership.
You know, this is our country, it's our motherland. So we are supposed to keep our country tidy. Understand? when you go to other countries, you will see the way like our country is. You know, you see the trash on the floor anyhow. You drink water and put it on ground. Why? It's because we don't have dustbins. And this is due to lack of leadership. They should make sure that like they will distribute dustbins to many places so that people can get the dustbin to put their trash. Because if there's no dustbin around, everybody can put rubber on the ground, do anything anyhow, anyway.
Residents are calling on authorities to at least provide rubbish bins to help curb the worrying trend. Rejoice Semefa Bisu's report for Joy News.
An Accra High Court has given parties in the ongoing anti-LGBTQI+ case of Mr. Paul Boamassafa versus the Speaker of Parliament and another 4 weeks to file their written submissions to support their arguments before a determination is made on July 29th. Mr. Paul Boamassafa, a farmer in the Ashanti region, is praying the Supreme Court to stop the passage of the bill, a bill which has since been passed into an act waiting for presidential approval to make it law. Latif Idris was in court and has the rest of the story.
According to the plaintiff, the statutory requirement for the anti-LGBTQ+ bill to be accompanied by fiscal impact analysis has not been complied with. Under the provisions of the Act, those who take part in LGBTQ+ sexual acts could face imprisonment between 6 months to 3 years. The bill also imposes a prison sentence of 3 to 5 years for the court willful promotion, sponsorship, or support of LGBTQ+ activities. In a very brief proceedings here at the High Court, the sitting judge, Justice Ellen Mreku, has given the parties involved in this matter, that is the anti-LGBTQ case before this court, up until July 4th for the plaintiff to file his written submission. The Attorney General and the Speaker of Parliament have up until July 29th to also file a response, by which date the court is expected to sit for a determination to be made on that matter. Today's proceedings is historic in the sense that for the first time in the history of this republic, TV cameras were allowed into a high court for the live coverage of proceedings. This is part of the Chief Justice's initiative as a way of reinventing the frontiers of the judicial system and also the newly created love affair between the judiciary and the media.
So you file yours to, upon being served within 4 weeks, file it, meaning it's going to take us beyond July. But I want us to come before the end of July to ensure that at least the plaintiff has filed this. Then we can be guided. The next date will be for a determination by the court. So can we come back on the 29th of July? That's fine.
Are we to file by 29th or?
I said 4 weeks upon service. You have 4 weeks within which to file. If by 29th all of you have filed, I can give you a date for a determination. But at least by 29th they should have filed because they are supposed to file by the 1st of July. Hopefully you are just here. Late you are just here. So maybe if you file early, they can be served on the same day or the day after. So I'm hoping that by 29th, all parties would have filed, and I can give you a date. If I am a vacation, then I can come during the vacation for the court's judgment. But on the 20th.
Court's right.
The sitting is expected to reconvene on the 29th of July 2024, by which date all parties involved, the plaintiff, the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General, are expected to have filed their written submissions, and then a proper determination will be made on that matter by the sitting judge. From the High Court complex, this is Latif Idris reporting.
Up next, business updates. As described as prudent, measures are outlined by Bank of Ghana to turn around the 10.5 billion cedis losses posted last year. The central bank has rolled out some key measures which it believes will help improve its financial position by the end of this year. Dr. Tuahini, however, maintains that the central bank needs to be strict on these policy measures.
You have an asset. They were holding a lot of government asset, serious. So when the DDEP came, that it affected their liquidity position. Let us get it. If you were holding bonds, you could trade the bonds. If you were holding those treasury, you could do that. But unfortunately, in addition to the cocoa bills, all these things were basically reduced to, if you say, reduced to nothing. And because of that, they had to operate from a zero point of view. And by so doing, your interest cost or the interest expense had not gone down, but your interest income would have gone down. That leads into the losses. So that is actually a contributing factor of the losses in 2023. Well, because you've been called under the IMF program, there isn't much you can do about it. It's a jacket. They are not just saying it. It is something that was imposed on them. Because if you look at the budget financing, the physical budget financing, in 2020, we did 15% GDP. That was financed by the central bank. And when 2021, we did 12.3. 2022, we did, I think, 9.3 or thereabout. Then 2023, it was 7.7. All these things have to be financed. Now that the IMF is telling you that, do zero by finance, it means that you're not going to lend any money to government. And don't forget, by monetizing or financing government, it leads to inflation and depreciation of the currency. So it is one methodology that will help the currency, at least if they stick to what they've been told, at least it will be able to stand.
The Association of Ghana Industries has called for heavy investment in indigenous small and medium enterprises to enable them scale up and boost their export potential. The AGI made the call as part of recommendations to solve the continuous depreciation of the cedi. The president of the association, Dr. Humphrey Dake, in an interview with Joy Business, explained that the country would have to embark on a massive export drive to rake in the necessary foreign exchange to stabilize the cedi.
Every entrepreneur and every blue chip company technically must think of exporting something. Take your forex management into your own hands by exporting anything you find in Ghana. Create the market elsewhere. Deliberately create the market. Export anything, charcoal, wood, anything you can think. So that you create forex for yourself. And when the forex is misbehaving, you just take advantage of it. So we urging our business colleagues, take your destiny into your own hands, export something to balance your books. Create your own market and come help him do an injection by saying, look, I've given this order, produce, it's certified, then you export it, not him exporting. You see that's right? We're urging the big firms to do that because at this stage, everybody needs dollars. I've put in an application to transfer some funds to my suppliers. It's taking me over 3 weeks. I'm not getting dollars to transfer. So what do? When I have my own Forex account, I just pull in on my Forex. What government can do immediately is to drive the export agenda strongly, deliberate come to AGI and other manufacturing associations to deliberate grow a few companies that can deliver the product, and let us all try and do some export. Let it be an agenda, and government has that agenda, but we must get into the field and get something out.
And that does it for the AM News on the AM Show. Stay with us. Up next is the news review segment. We'll be joined by Dr. Wisdom Kofi Dogbe. Welcome back on the AM show. This is the newspaper review segment. I'm Sweetie Abochi. Benjamin Akako is in the studio. And in a bit, we'll be introducing our guests to you. Benjamin.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll be better. Your eyes tell a story today.
What do they say?
I don't know, but they don't look the way they always do. What happened?
I'd have to ask my eyes. I mean, I'm good. I'm fine. Just here to work.
If you say so.
Yeah.
Well, if you say so. Well, let's get right into the newspaper review. But of course, we have to salute those who help us bring you this segment. Every weekday, I'm talking about none other than Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And here's what they are offering you. It's a freebie. It's gratis. You'll pay zilch. You know what? If you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. All you have to do is reach out to them at any of their branches or give them a call. But let's start with the branches. They're here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Then there's Kumasi Kronum Abuehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State. There's Tema Community 22, Tichman Hanswa, and Siama and Zama. Now, on to the numbers you can reach them on. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the newspaper review, and we are joined by Wisdom Kofi Dogbe. He is a finance analyst, and he joins the conversation this morning from Amanone, far, far away. Wisdom, good morning.
Good morning, Ben, and good morning, Sweetie.
All right. So let's cut right down to it, and let's know what your thoughts are. For me, there's something burning on my chest that I'd like to talk about, but I don't know about you. So I'm going to throw the ball to you. Wisdom, a minute, maximum a minute and a half. Share your thoughts with us, and then we'll come into the studio. Sweetie will start with the newspapers. Over to you, Wisdom.
Yeah, Ben, I read about the Bank of Ghana making significant losses, stemming from some increased operational costs, including the astronomical cost of printing the currency. And Sweetie, I heard you mention this item on the news this morning as well. I think, though, that this is not the best news as far as the operations of the Bank of Ghana are concerned. I say this because every central bank plays a very significant role in framing and also implementing monetary policy to stabilize the economy and also to support economic growth, right? They are not necessarily profit-making banks like traditional banks, but such significant losses can reduce the bank's capital and also limit its ability to be effective when it comes to implementing monetary policy measures. And my worry is that this can impede the bank's ability to properly manage our current rates of inflation and also the ability to stabilize the interest rates and also influence the overall economic conditions. And then when it comes to financial stability, the Bank of Ghana, and for that matter, all central banks globally, they are responsible for maintaining fiscal or financial stability within the economy. And so when you start to record such significant losses, what it does is that it weakens the balance sheet of the bank and adversely affects its credibility, which potentially can lead to concerns about the overall stability of Ghana's financial system. And the downstream impact is that it can undermine investor confidence and also increase market volatility. And additionally, it can also create uncertainty in the economy. Now, all of us, right, we've been talking about the need to properly manage or influence the foreign exchange market as a key ingredient to stabilize the city. This is a critical measure that the Bank of Ghana is taking or should take, engaging in foreign exchange market interventions to manage the depreciation of the city. But such significant losses can limit the bank's ability to intervene effectively, which I believe can also lead to further devaluation of the city, unfortunately.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on that. The only bit I will add to that, just because we have Franklin Kujo who shared his thoughts on it. Let me see whether I can quickly get to that. There have been some comparatives. I've seen some comparatives in terms of, for example, the losses of some other banks in 2023. The U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, $114.3 billion. Central Bank of Turkey, $25.25 billion. Central Bank of Germany, $23.45 billion. Singapore Central Bank, $22.8 billion. And it goes on and on. The last one is the Central Bank of Ireland, about $143.41 million. And it's about a list of about 10. But then Franklin Cudjoe posts while he puts those side by side. And it makes for informed reading. Take a look at the two images attached here. The second one, a list of other countries that recorded central bank losses. Apparently, it's to answer the critics of Ghana's losses. However, we need to ask a few questions, and those are what I want us to focus on. What are the sizes of these economies compared to our self-destructed, as he puts it, or self-destructive economy? Where would the losses be felt harder? Singapore, that once essentially doled out $1,000 in budget surplus to each citizen, $1,000 to each citizen. In 2018, are there 1 million people in Germany, France, Turkey, Australia, Switzerland, Ireland, and Canada that have been plunged into hardcore poverty overnight? You know what they are referencing? The reports that say that on the back of Ghana's economy, including COVID-19, about 800,000 to 1 million people have fallen into poverty. That's what he's referencing. Because of the fiscal recklessness of their governments. Is that where they find themselves? Finally, what is the stated capital of these countries' central banks we are comparing with Ghana's? So it makes for, it gives you a lot of food for thought when we go about, we incurred losses, but look at other countries. And I'll just add this. When we compare Ghana with such countries, some will tell you, but why are you comparing us, a developing country, to the developed world? But when it is convenient, then we want to compare. But anyway, just some quick thoughts to share. Sweetie?
Right, so let's get into the newspapers now, starting with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the front page, on this transfer of votes for election 2024, EC political parties lock horns as emergency IPAC meeting ends in deadlock. Ochenhene Lands Ministry launched fourth One Student, One Tree initiative. Lil Wayne granted 50,000 Ghana cedis bail over accident that killed 3-year-old boy. And dialysis treatments, government to subsidize treatments for below 18, above 60-year-olds, the Vice President has announced. Let's start with a story on the EC. And John Dramani Mahama has also come out to say that they're ready to fight whatever is going on, whatever collaboration they say the NPP is engaged with the Electoral Commission. But let's get into that story, which is on page 8, right? And it reads, an emergency inter-party advisory committee, IPAC meeting between the Electoral Commission and the political parties over the ongoing transfer of votes yesterday has ended inconclusively. The meeting was called by the EC after agents of the governing New Patriotic Party and opposition National Democratic Congress reportedly clashed at some centers. The exercise, which started on Thursday, May 30th, and scheduled to end on Friday, June 14th, has been characterized with violence and comes on the heels of the just-ended limited registration exercise, which recorded clashes too. Now, in the face of the reported violence, the election management body is shutting the door on political parties observing the exercise to tone down on the tension which is building up ahead of the 2024 polls. And that's what the NDC say they don't understand, because why should the EC now go back on something they'd concluded on, that he will allow their agents to observe the ongoing votes transfer? I'll do other stories before I come to you for reactions. Government to stabilize treatments for below 18, above 60-year-old, VIP announces. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has announced government intervention for kidney patients undergoing dialysis treatment in the country under the National Health Insurance Scheme. He explained that under the policy, which took effect yesterday, dialysis treatments for patients under 18 and above 60 years old would be free. Yesterday, we did that story also in the newspapers, and it was Dr. Da Costa who was saying that Ochenhene Lands Ministry launched fourth One Student, One Tree initiative, initiates mental health levy, according to Professor Sari, who is a former chief executive officer of the Mental Health Authority, Professor Joseph Bediako-Asare, and he's calling on the government to replace the COVID-19 levy with a mental health levy. He explained that it would help address pressing mental health issues confronting the country, which he said required urgent attention and adequate funding. Now, Professor Sari, speaking at a forum on mental health at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration in Accra, stressed the need for substantial funding and prioritization of mental health. I can say I don't agree with that. On the back page, Second Lady opens World Share Expo in Tamale. Muslim network sensitizes pilgrims to Hajj rites. And those are just the main stories in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Coming for your quick thoughts, Dr. Dugbe.
Yes, really, I must admit that I was a bit surprised when I read that the EC gave a directive, to stop political party reps from supervising the vote transfer exercise. I don't understand why that is the case, because if you are the EC, you are more concerned about ensuring transparency in your process. Look, the rate at which the EC has been on the news for the wrong reasons, right? I worry that they are not putting their acts together to win the trust of Ghanaians ahead of the elections. And that is concerning. There were issues with BVRs, right? And issues with software to the extent that I heard they even had to use an Excel template at some point to tabulate their numbers. Just too many issues, sweetie. And in this case, I think that having political party representatives, to supervise the voter transfers, I think it can help ensure transparency and also fairness and trust in the electoral system. If you have all the reps of the various parties present, right, to supervise this transfer, sweetie, they can act as impartial observers, right, which I believe will ensure that all processes are completed in a very transparent manner. But in my mind, the presence of these observers, it also helps, to prevent any potential tampering of votes. And if you think about it, it's a tool that the EC should use and provide a check and balance on they themselves, right? They don't have to tell the folks that don't come, we don't want you at the polling stations. I don't think it makes sense at all. And it's also a matter of fairness, if I should say, because if you have observers from different political parties that are present during this exercise, wouldn't that just help all parties feel like everybody is treated fairly and that there is no bias or also favoritism shown towards one particular political party?
But Dr. Dugbe, to be fair, they are saying this is a result, this is their way of curbing the violence that is characterized both the limited voter registration exercise and now this vote transfer and registration for special voting. So that is their solution, because it's the party agents that are mostly instigating these events of violence.
Actually, it should be a balancing act, right? If there is violence, get the security agencies to deal with it. Don't compromise transparency for anything. I think that the EC needs to take into consideration the principle of equal opportunity and fair competition in elections. I think it's very, very important.
Right.
And I also think that, they have to allow these observers, from these different parties to ensure that they are accountable for any discrepancies that it may arise during the voter transfer process. But I think that the EC also needs to reconsider some of these decisions, really. If they want to build trust with the voters, I don't think they should be giving directive like this. I just personally believe that is the wrong call.
Okay. Let's get into the New Finder newspaper. On the front page, time to counter unfair reports about performance of African economies. That is according to Dr. Adam, the finance minister. Again, there is a story about 4th edition of One Student, One Tree initiative launch. And I'll get into it because this is the second time I'm seeing it. NDC minority kicks against next-gen Infranco 5G deal. Fidelity Bank records 1.17 billion Ghana cedis profit in 2023. And this is the New Finder newspaper. Let's start from page 2. Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has called for a revised perspective on the performance of African economies. He emphasized the necessity of countering the misinformation often reported by credit rating agencies regarding the economic performance of countries on the continent. Now, speaking to journalists in Kenya, Dr. Adams stressed the importance of presenting the performance of African economies from the perspective of African countries. He criticized the structure of international financial institutions, which he argued were originally established to address post-World War II economic recovery issues. And he stated that these institutions are ill-suited to tackle contemporary challenges such as poverty and ignorance. Okay. Kodio backs EC's directive on withdrawal of party agents. These are just some quick headlines before we get into the conversations. AG describes JACPA's application as frivolous, vexatious. Government must prioritize stable electricity to support 5G network. NDC minority kicks against next-gen Infraco 5G deal. Let me do this story. And National Democratic Congress parliamentary minority has kicked against the next-gen Infraco 5G deal between the government and next-gen Infraco Company Limited. A statement issued by Dr. Kasil Atuforsen, the minority leader and NDC member of parliament for Ejumaku Enyanisiam, copied to the Ghana News Agency, said the minority caucus in Parliament has noted with concern the decision by the government to give away Ghana's 5G spectrum to NextGen for the next 10 to 15 years. He said under the deal, NextGen Infraco Limited had been given the exclusive right to build, own and operate the entire 5G infrastructure network across the country for the use of all mobile network operators, internet service providers and other interested entities. He said the executive approval was granted by President Akufo-Addo for this deal on the 22nd of August 2023, allegedly barely 1 week after the company's incorporation on 16th August 2023. Now, the minority leader is saying that what was done through a non-transparent arrangement without any competitive process whatsoever is not right. AI key to improving educational outcomes. Adopting AI could boost Ghana's GDP by $40 billion, according to Agoko. Editorial says pressure and protect our forest, building for the future, developing infrastructure for the integrated aluminium industry. Here's the story I'm looking for. 4th edition of One Student, One Tree initiative launched. That's the last thing I'll do. Osajefo Amwete Oforipenin has launched the One Student, One Tree initiative, a key component of the government's flagship afforestation program, the Green Ghana Project, under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Now, this initiative aims to involve students from second cycle institutions in tree planting, instilling in Ghana's youth a culture of environment conservation and raising awareness about the importance of protecting the environment. I'm just curious to know how many trees we planted so far. Since this is the 4th edition, I believe this is the 4th year we are doing this. But Dr. Dogbe, your thoughts?
Sweetie, going back to the story on the 5G network, I would say that the only reason I could think of on top of my mind, for hiring a week-old company to roll out a 5G network, maybe this is for cost savings reasons, right? I say that because a new company may offer lower price win a contract, but the issue here is that there was no auctioning nor bidding.
Right.
So I'm struggling to justify this cost-saving reason as well. I know that the communications minister mentioned that NextGen, I think that's the name of the company, right?
Yes.
They said that this company was created for the sole purpose of rolling out this 5G network. And she said that there is currently no existing network company with the necessary expertise to handle this rollout. I find that, sweetie, pretty hard to believe, considering the proliferation of companies in the space over the last 5-10 years, right? Look, I think that this move could potentially cost the government more in the long run if they didn't get that decision right. The first thing I'll be thinking about is the expertise of the week-old company being given such a monumental task. Could they lack the expertise, and the track record that is necessary to execute such complex and also lucrative contracts? If they don't have that expertise, right, there is a higher risk of project failure and also unnecessary delays or even below par performance altogether, because they also need to learn in order to deliver on the contract expectations. And sweetie, I think that despite explanations from the minister, maybe it would have been helpful to auction and allow the bidding process to go on, right, to provide some transparency and accountability. I mean, allowing all suitable companies to participate, showcase their expertise, and also ensure that the selection process is strictly based on merit and also fair assessment of criteria. Okay. Now, the way this contract was awarded without the usual bidding process, it raises concerns about nepotism and favoritism and even potential corruption. If similar cases of the past would teach us anything, we've seen this movie before, sweetie.
We've seen this movie before, huh? Well, I still think it's good that we're asking all these questions now. I mean, on the onset of this, rather than wait and get a part 2 of all these deals that are going on, and we can't explain where the money went. But let's get into Benjamin's papers now.
Well, we'll look at the Daily Guide newspaper now. I'll train 1 million youth for digital jobs. That's according to Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. Then there's Ochenhene launches One Student, One Tree project. Low win in court over dangerous driving. We've already taken a stab at that story. And speaking of playing on words, NDC PC arrested over Kaswa stabbing. Anti-LGBTQ case, lawyers file addresses in 4 weeks. But I just want to get into 2 stories very quickly, and then I'll do something on the international front. So the flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, has stated that he plans to train 1 million youth in information technology in order to create digital jobs for them. According to him, Ghanaian youth have an aptitude for it, and all that they need is the skill, not academic credentials, to take up the digital jobs around the globe. Okay. I will leave you to reflect on that when I come to you, but I will link the points I want to make to this story. NDC PC arrested over Kaswa stabbing. So the National Democratic Congress parliamentary candidate for Ewutu Senya East constituency in the Central Region, Phyllis Na Koyo Okuno, has been arrested over an alleged stabbing and possession of a firearm without lawful authority. The arrest of the party's parliamentary candidate and 2 others follows an alleged stabbing of Atukumson, the son of the Member of Parliament for Ewutu Senya West and Minister for Fisheries and Aquaculture Development, Mavis Hawakumson, at the Ofanko Electoral Commission office near Kaswa in the Central Region. Now, I know it is on the back of this that there has been some talk about and pardon my voice this morning, that there has been some talk about we don't want representatives, agents of these parties, observing the vote transfer process. Ordinarily, I would have said a step in the right direction to avoid any further escalation, to avoid chaos. But in this instance, there are some things that don't add up for me. One, I've heard, is it Omani Buama or Buama Otokuno, one of those, talk about the fact that he was the person who got the information that led to the discovery that there were missing or sold BVDs and BVRs, I believe, respectively. That is one. And that this is the same source giving him information. That there was some move by the Electoral Commission, and I'm just putting this out there and what it portrays, to do something like this, and maybe some things would be done, behind the door. That is one claim that is made. And that literally, I found it interesting that he mentioned that literally 15 minutes after he had got this information, the EC came through with this release, pointing to agents not being allowed or party representatives not being allowed at the centers. That is one point to take stock of. It doesn't add up for me. Number 2, there is also the bit about the NPP and its positioning. I've noticed something, and it's fed through the Fourth Republic, but whenever there's an issue, the party in power will support the Electoral Commission. It is a bit tricky for me in this instance for the NPP, because I listened to a representative from the party yesterday. It may have been Evans, Nimako, I'm not sure. But waxing lyrical about, for the sake of peace and all of that, let's be honest. If the NPP were in opposition today under President Akufo-Addo, or if he were trying to get to power, or some other member, the NPP would not subscribe to this. You and I, we know that for a fact. 3, you also want to look at the EC's credibility on all of these matters that have been raised. Problems from election 2016 and 2020. Let's not even look far. Just this limited voters registration exercise and the number of errors that were brought to bear. I'm just looking at them and saying that all these put together create a recipe for people not wanting to go along with this directive. Ordinarily, if we didn't have the sort of polarization we have and the entrenched positions we have and the likelihood of people cheating, because we also know that both sides, the NDC and the MPP, have cheated in elections in the past. We know it, right from the inception of the Fourth Republic till now. So when these things are said, do you honestly expect those on the other side to comply? I don't know. Your thoughts. I know you've shared your thoughts on that, but if I'm making any sense at all, you can respond to the Baumia creating 1 million youth for 1 million jobs for digital, the youth, and then the other bits that I just raised. That is, if you have any other comments, Wisdom.
Ben, the only comment that I have is still with the EC, right? I think the EC should maintain independence. They should be seen as maintaining that independence, right? So that folks can trust them. I think that they need to reconsider some of these decisions if they want to build trust with the people that vote in this country, in Ghana, right? That their process, they need to ensure the people that their processes are fair and free of any political influence or any underground thing like you were talking about. You know, I would say that they need to ensure this transparency, and it is this transparency and oversight that will contribute to the good perception that they want to build ahead of the general election come December. And I think that this is critically important. It's becoming super, super important for them to do something about it because they are always in the news for the wrong reasons these days. And I don't think that bodes well for their image as an independent EC.
Let's just look at some news on the international front. Mexico elects first woman president. I was looking forward to this. I've always been a fan. And when I say fan, not specifically of this woman, but I think it's been Venezuela, or is it Colombia? Then we had, there was Croatia, so many other countries, New Zealand, and now we have Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum has been elected as Mexico's first woman president in an historic landslide win. If you heard the way I pronounced Claudia, it's because I wasn't pronouncing it in English. Mexico's official electoral authority said preliminary results showed the 61-year-old former mayor of Mexico City winning between 58% and 60% of the vote in Sunday's election. More women in leadership, I say bravo to Mexico. There's also striking Russia with Western weapons crucial to Ukraine's success. The story says allowing Ukraine to use Western air defense systems against targets in Russia is crucial if Kyiv is going to repel Russian glide bombs and missile strikes against Kharkiv, a leading think tank has said. After Joe Biden's partial lifting, they are not allowed to shoot all the way very far into Russia, but there's a minimum level beyond the border they are allowed to shoot towards. Now, restrictions have been lifted partially on how Ukraine can use military supplies sent by the U.S., and Kyiv can now use American weapons to strike inside Russia. Any reactions to those? And then I'll wrap with the Daily Statesman, and we're done with my papers. Quick thoughts?
Ben, yeah, indeed. Mexico has made the history, right, in electing Claudia Sheinbaum as their first female president. You know, I'm quite interested in things about Mexico because at some point in my career, I had teams in Mexico City, and these are some genuine and awesome individuals that I've worked with. So I tend to get more interested in news about Mexico. So yes, I think that the president-elect, she's broken barriers, especially the long-standing gender barrier across the Western Hemisphere, right? And she's now going to serve as a powerful symbol of progress towards gender equality. I've been a proponent of women in leadership, just like you, Ben, as you mentioned, and I think this will challenge traditional gender roles and also stereotypes and demonstrate that women are equally capable of holding the highest leadership positions in our society. So congratulations to her and to the nation of Mexico for setting an example. I think that her election will send a powerful message to women and girls everywhere, that their voices also matter, their aspirations are also attainable, and so they can also aspire to the highest offices available to them. And Ben, I told you on this show a while ago that I'm also a father to girls also, right? So I like to see women breaking barriers, right? Serving as role models for my girls and the future generation of women and girls, and motivating them to pursue their goals, to also overcome their challenges and aspire to leadership positions regardless of what field they find themselves in. My expectations of the president-elect is that she will bring some diverse perspective and also different leadership style to the presidency. I said that because women are fond of bringing that diversity to decision-making process, bringing in fresh ideas, bringing in empathy, and also a necessary focus on issues that disproportionately affect women, such as gender equality and also reproductive rights. So I genuinely hope that she will succeed in her new.
Well, women shattering that glass ceiling, and definitely something to celebrate. On the back page of the Daily Guide, though I said I was going to the Daily Statesman, we didn't have title in mind. That's interesting thoughts from the Samatex coach after they beat BBNE Gold Stars by 1-0 after they pipped them to win the league. Then Enzo Maresca is new Chelsea boss. All set for Kylian Mbappe signing. And you wonder with Enzo, though, Chelsea going to play the Conference League, of course. Hopefully he'll do some magic with them. All set for Kylian Mbappe signing. He'll be earning some $16.2 million a year, and he has a signing-on fee of about 150 million euros to be spread across his period with Real, at least for this first term. I will make Turkish football more attractive. That's Jose Mourinho, who is now joining Fenerbahce, and that was his first news conference. The Daily Statesman, let's guard our environment. Ochenhene charges youth. He's been talking about One Student, One Tree project. I keep asking, the millions we've sunk into these projects, it's not a bad thing. The millions, how do we account for them? Where are the trees? How have we kept them? How many have survived? How many have died? And how many have goats chewed? Because we know all of that has happened. Nobody above prosecution, AG tells Atto Forsen. I guess nobody is also above criticism, right? NPA, our officials cannot be held responsible for decision of tanker drivers, and PR calls for increase in Ghana's oil production. Wisdom, we have nothing more than 40 seconds. Any final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, man, I think that this whole ambulance case is quite an interesting one, right? I think that most commentators that I've listened to, who provide analysis on this, most of them preface their comments with caution, right? Acknowledging that these allegations against the AG, and if proven to be true, then the AG should resign to preserve the integrity of the legal system that he runs. So let's be clear on that no one, including myself, has condemned the conduct of the AG without first qualifying that by saying if these allegations are true, right? So let's be clear on that. Now, the burden of proof is usually on who is making the allegation. In this case, I think that Mr. Jakpa made these allegations and provided a voice recording of the AG allegedly coaching him and stuff like that. Now they are saying that the tape is doctored. So I think that the onus lies on them, and I mean the AG and his office, to provide evidence to that effect. People of Ghana just want to know the truth, Ben.
Right. Wisdom is the truth we are all seeking, and the truth hopefully will set us all free. Wisdom Dogbe is a financial analyst. He joined the conversation with us this morning. Sweetie? It's been quite a review, hasn't it?
Two gentlemen fighting for women and appreciating the work we've done to get to the point where we can be presidents and all. So, yeah, power to the women.
You can count on us, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that sometimes some who get into certain offices do certain things and then it waters down the campaign. I pushed for someone to become president when I was undergrad. It had never happened before in a certain grouping. She didn't even want to do it because of that mindset of, oh, man, and I pushed her till she got there. But, the poverty minister in Nigeria, for example, I feel particularly pained because she's a woman, first of all, and she's 30-something. And recently she was mired in some, transferring money into personal accounts instead of, and I don't know, but I think she may have been removed. When those ones come in, it becomes a bit problematic. But before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment. They're offering free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Reach out to them at any of these branches. Accra Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi Kronoma Bwehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. The Stakradi Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Tichiman Hanswe and Siama and Zima. You can call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of sports up next.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, the Black Stars will depart Accra to Bamako later today for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Mali. The players and the technical team are eager to bounce back after the 1-0 loss over Comoros in November last year. The team had been training for the past 4 days in readiness for the crucial game. Now, Ghana FA President Keto Kreku met the squad and left them with this message.
Usually, at this time, you should be on holidays. But when it is that national calls or national phone calls come up, you have to respond. And I'm very happy that all of you have responded positively to the national call and to the national cause. I thank you. We began this World Cup journey some months ago. We've played 2 games, we all know already. We won 1 and we lost the other one. Fortunately, the journey didn't end with that defeat. Unfortunately, we have another window to claw back some lost moments. The importance of these 2 assignments, I'm sure, has not been hidden from each one of you. All of you know how important it is for us to get back on track. Again, I will say that I trust you. The country trusts all of you. The country is behind all of you. And it's important we all stay focused, very focused, and extremely focused on the 2 games that lies ahead of us. This is showers of blessing. I hope that we'll go to Mali with all the confidence that we have, with all the quality that I know we have, and go and put up a good performance that will give us the desired results. This is possible. Then after that, we'll come back to our favorite, Kumasi, and God willing, finish off the other game. On behalf of the FA, on behalf of Ghanaians, I wish all of us well. Let's train well, and let's get ready for the trip to Bamako.
Now, one player who hopes to make his mark in the game against Mali is striker Antoine Semenyo. He scored 8 goals and provided 2 assists in the Premier League, and the forward is determined to help the Black Stars beat Mali.
I got the goals that I wanted. I feel like as a team we've done really well, so I think it's just planning for the next season ahead really. So obviously I'm focused on the games here, make sure we win and then get ready for a new season. I always feel good. I think we're ready to take the challenge, ready to get 2 wins. I think we've got a good team, like I said. So yeah, we just need to win at the end of the day. So we're going to train hard this week and then win the first game and hopefully the second. I mean, it's in the past now. I think the manager's come in. We've got a new new job, a new plan, and we just want to win games. So we're trusting what the manager can do. We've got a good team, so yeah, it's just trusting the process, and hopefully we get qualified for the AFCON again, World Cup, and we can show you what we can do.
Personally, for you, what is your expectations for these 2 games you have to play?
I mean, I want to score in both games, if I'm honest. I mean, as a striker, you want to score, so score goals and then help the team get forward up the pitch. So yeah, that's all for me. To continue, I know we've got him on a full-term basis now, so we just have to trust him, trust the time that he's got with us, and hopefully we can win games and conquer Africa again.
Away from the Black Stars to the Ghana Premier League, where the competition has been featured by many top footballers, but not many have been able to live a life of financial stability after their career. One of such former players is Eric Agyeman. After captivating fans on the local level with his skills, Agyeman is now struggling with life. My colleague Joseph Eyinga Walter tells this special story.
The story of Eric Agyeman, known as Ajingo, is a tale that defies belief. Once a strong and adaptable defender, capable of playing anywhere in defense, he captivated fans alongside his close companion, Solomon Asante, for Berekum Chelsea in the CAF Champions League. But his life took a complete turn from promise to misfortune. A talent, once bursting with promise, now a wilted, forgotten ball in the corner of the stadium, neglected and fallen. This is the story of Eric Agyeman. Vibrant at first sight, now he is lost in the haze of excess. Now he is a shadow of his former self, battling alcoholism, homelessness, and relying on odd jobs to survive. Often found stranded after excessive drinking, Naami, a local food vendor, reveals that Agyeman washes dishes for money to make ends meet.
Sometimes can be na pompo. Can I shani Miami? Can come and let 20 city. And I need it. Me learn na pompo ya true. Or can no your be a few more now. So we could buy a rewa or no can live actually in a tree. Dile me and I get bally. Or can you want a company find a while? It's a nearly a young catch down. When I penny fit me here, can she feel? She done it.
Agyeman was so exceptional at right back that his former teammates nicknamed him after Real Madrid and Spanish legend Michael Salgado. He was rugged, tireless, an expert tackler, and technically superb in attack during his time at King Faisal Babies before moving to Berekum Chelsea. He played a crucial role in Berekum Chelsea's CAF Champions League campaign in 2012. At the time, the club was financed by wealthy businessman Emmanuel Chairman, and success on the pitch brought a good life of it. Agyeman lived in a decent apartment and was the owner of a saloon car. Now he lives in an uncompleted building and uses public transport on a daily basis. And Chairman has since relinquished ownership of the club.
Oh, it was a lovely journey. Well, back those days, when we were playing the champions and everything, but as soon as Mr. Chairman travels, everything became bad for us.
If you say bad, how bad? How?
The motivation, that kind of stuff didn't come again. So we've been the players. So far as you take your back straight to Berekum, all the family depends on you. They thought that you are bringing something. And when there nothing is going on, so I have to come back to Accra. That's the reason why I came back.
So when you came back, were you, training, or were you in search of a team, or did you have any plans to return back to Berekum Chelsea?
Okay, when I came back, I was training and I went to some teams that I wanted to train with them, but they said the demand was too much for them, so they couldn't push anything again, so that's it.
So that eventually left you to get stranded and then end up here?
Yeah, that's it.
And have you ever thought of returning to football again or something?
Right now, I don't think so. I don't think so. If football is not on my destiny again, I don't think so. But right now, who is going to help me? I have no one to help me. So why should I think about it? The best thing for me to do is work hard and focus, and I have to take care of my family. That's the only thing, because no one is there. Even when Mr. Chairman was there, since then I had no manager, and I've been struggling a lot. So I've been on my own since day one up to today. So right now, even if those days when I was on my peak, there was no manager. Right now, who will come for me? No one. So I'm not interested in football right now.
So are you in touch with some of your friends? I know the likes of Solomon Asante, Frank Achampong, you played with Nkim Faisal and that. Are you in touch with any of them?
Okay, formerly, I was having most of them, their contacts, but my phone got missing. So since then, I haven't heard of them again.
And has any of them reached out to you or something?
Oh, the only person that formerly I was talking with, it was Emmanuel Clotte, and later I had a call from Edward Podo. Since then, no call again. Nobody has called again.
Okay, so away from that, what do you do now?
I just work with Safuda. That is the only thing I'm doing.
Agyemang's new life has cost him friendships, having lost contact with many of more successful ex-teammates, but he has made new friends in his new life, Samuel and Haruna.
Agyemang is a friend to me. I'm Samuel. The guy, he was a footballer. He played one of the best clubs in Ghana before. But now, for look of things, he's somebody that is starving around, working hard, doing pong, these messy jobs up and down. Sometimes he will be like, no, he always come to drinking bar because out of frustration he has to be drinking. We'll be seeing him on the floor more time because I don't know how I'll explain the whole show to you. Are you getting it? Yeah, the guy is suffering. He's suffering. If there will be a way for you people to help him in any other way, for him to pick up again, you can do something.
It be like Eric Agyemang. We the hand the Chadu here, and Eric Agyemang is a very good player to me. To the extent that should be in case we get some helper that will help Eric Agyemang for us, we all will thank and give the glory to Almighty. So we need somebody that will help Eric Agyemang for us, because he's a good player as we all we know in Ghana. No, minpa faiwa abomodina wa wanyamia eawo ni at least kawati town park ya any Magdan if park ya mofia monche Eric Agyemang, because he bomodin jogba no Eric Agyemang je nek be shishi in form, he get the form still. Yeah, the football tricks, he get them well.
There have been attempts to help Agyemang in the past. Take former football administrator, Prophet Elisha Osei Anderson, for example, who managed Agyemang from 2013 to 2014.
America Agyemang somewhere 2013, that about 2014, during the time I know Bob Recum Chelsea. And Obabeye me prayer Timenana me managing into 2013-2014 and Eric Agyemang me prayer na me any manager your friend me Prophet Elisha Osei Anderson me war Ghana International Trade Fair Chado me da sorry the Nations Miracle Prayer Ministry International I want to me demand Agyemang yeah me ni say during the time na me managing na Agyemang no on monsa me were apartment wa anti that time I remember say me man eba me nchen e wa ha to know the ex players ni bi Gerard someone nuanum won say Gerard someone hotel or trefe opposite no ni nuanum na we know the more players here than ebantina sense there na onim ensane enom gramene nana netia nti de bia na okone training na obana ni bibiara e wo hono nti nensa no masem pe setie mi jane managerial na nsana nensa na yeden ba nti minti kasa se ebia senti no no monsa.
Agyemang's story is one of remorse, a desire to turn back time and correct mistakes, and the regret and self-blame that accompany poor decisions. Now, his only wish is to reclaim his former self and lead a normal life. Reporting from Accra, for Joy Sports, Joseph Ayinga Walter.
That's how we end the sports here on the AM show. My name is Harun Mubarak. The show continues right after this.
Welcome back on the AM show. We get into our big stories now, heading into the political terrain. And the National Democratic Congress is in a tussle one more time with the Electoral Commission. And it has to do with the transfer of votes, among other things. And it says, listen, we've picked up some intelligence, we've picked up some information. And this whole bit about the EC suddenly coming out to say that our agents shouldn't be at post as far as the vote transfer is concerned, we are not going to take. But the EC has also come to state that for the sake of peace, we've all seen what happened in Ofako in the central region recently, where that son of Mavis Hawakumsin stabbed, among others. But does that suffice for the EC to pivot in the way it is? Some would say even legally, some of these things, there's no fine print to them. But how do we proceed from there? Joining us for a discussion from right here in the studio, we have our guests, and we'll have some of them join us online. We have Dr. Tanko Computer. He is Deputy Director, Elections with the NDC. We also have Gilfred Esiama Kodeo, representative. He's with the CDD. Gilfred, if you can hear me, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good having you join the conversation. We'll also be joined later by a representative from the New Patriotic Party. I'll announce that as and when that comes through. But Dr. Tanko, a very good morning to you. So which one do I use as your surname, Tanko or Computer?
Computer is good.
Computer is okay.
Yeah, but it's...
Because you can't use titles with first names. So Dr. Computer, right?
Yes, it's good to go.
All right. Let's start from here. How did we get here? Again, and I ask that in the sense of the latest conundrum we are faced with, the transfer of votes, the directive from the EC, and what you're saying now that you will not comply. How did we get here? Just walk us through it.
Yes, let me say good morning to cherished viewers and to my very best constituents in the up north. I've been the NDC activist. My brother, the Electoral Commission acted in bad faith. That led us to all this. They acted in bad faith. We had a IPAC meeting on 29th May, just last Wednesday. In the IPAC meeting, we look at the CI about transfers. Transfers can be found in CI 127. After registration, then you say you're doing transfers and proxies. Now, we look at the CI, the enabling regulation that talks about transfers. Now, after reading through the whole regulation under transfers, clearly we realize that there was a lacuna in the CI. It's very silent about deployment of party agents to observe the process. It has not debarred them. It has also not allowed them.
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that
there's a lacuna there.
From both ends, there's no clarity in terms of should you be there, should you not be there?
Should not be there.
Right.
It's not clear in the CI. So at the IPAC meeting, presided by Mrs. Jean Mensah herself, we took a decision. Due to the problems, because of suspicions that we always have when we have issues of this nature, because we saw what happened at the registration process, we should allow party agents to observe the process of the transfer, although the law has not explicitly stated it, that party agents should be there. But because of transparency, we just want to be clear in our mind that nobody is doing anything untoward, because we have issues with the returning officers they recruited. You remember we held a press conference addressed by our General Secretary, and that we had issue with the people they've picked as the returning officers. And the returning officers are the people in charge of the transfers. And so if we have issues with their even appointment and they are to guide the process of the transfers, and we fold our arms and allow these things to go, no, we will not accept it. So the IPAC agreed, and it's captured in the minutes of IPAC of 29th May 2024, that party agents should be allowed to observe the process. There was no objection.
When you say there was no objection, there was no objection from the Electoral Commission.
The Electoral Commission and then the MPP.
Okay.
They are our main opponents.
You were all in agreement?
We're all there.
How about other parties?
All the other parties, the CPP, PNC and all that, they all said, oh, it's good for transparency's sake and all that. Let's allow this process to go. Right. So we all exited, smiles, everybody was happy. Everyone had joined press briefing after the IPAC meeting. Only for Sunday evening.
Which was how many days after this?
That is, we held it on Wednesday, and then we agreed Thursday, Friday, Saturday, things were going on well. Sunday evening, a memo came out from the Electoral Commission, signed by one of the deputy commissioners, Tete, now telling their officers not to allow party agents to observe the process. That's bad faith. Meanwhile, you've already given us a letter inviting us for an emergency meeting on Monday, which is yesterday. And the main topic to discuss was, the agenda for that was just one issue, transfers. So if you knew we are coming to discuss transfers again on an emergency issues, why then do you go ahead to issue a memo ahead of the emergency meeting? Now ordering your people to stop all party agents from observing. That's bad faith.
What do you think that was, an ambush?
That's complete ambush.
But wait. There's a point to also take note of. You've spoken of your side, your understanding glowingly. But how about what happened in the central region, for which now your parliamentary candidate, Phyllis Koyo Okuno, has been arrested? Now, you must not lose sight of the fact that this thing happened. Yes, I know it's been played a bit in terms of the stabbing, but someone got injured. Your parliamentary candidate was toting a gun, which, from what we hear, was not registered. That in itself is illicit. And the EC is saying, to stem the tide of any such developments going into the future, let these people not even show up. Don't you think, while you had met at IPAC on May 29th, on the back of this happening, there was some logic to the EC's positioning?
They raised the issues. We gave them copious reasons why it defeated their own stance. 2028, innocent Ghanaians were shot and killed. Did that stop the declaration of the results?
You're talking about declaration of results. It's not the same situation.
Agents are to monitor the declaration and the collation of the results. At that point, they were shot and killed. Did that stop the declaration? Secondly, we did registration. We just finished the registration exercise, the limited one. Kokum, you remember Kokum, what happened at Asuna Fosav? Kokum. Yeah. Did that stop the registration exercise? The violence, the shooting, and then the maiming of guys over there. It ended up in hospital. Some were hospitalized. Agents were there. It didn't stop them. So we are saying that you cannot just use one incident. And you know what happened at Kaswa in 2020? The current MP was seen toting gun and was arrested. Up to now, have you heard of anything about that incident? You see, that is why we are saying that when you do selective...
I do remember that.
Yeah, you remember
Hawa Kumsin herself has also had
similar issues. So when you do selective amnesia in deploring security issues like that, you made us to believe that it's like we are in an animal kingdom.
Okay, hold for me. There are certain pointed questions I'll bring to you, but let me quickly bring in Gilfred, and then Sweetie will also start shooting her questions at you. Gilfred, what is your reading of this matter? The IPAC meetings, the decision on May the 29th, consensus, then the swift pirouettes performed by the EC, about turn. And now where we find ourselves with the, and it's also curious, the MPP has said, oh yes, we'll go along with it in the interest of the law and order. It's raised questions. Do you have any such questions on your mind, Gilfred?
Well, first of all, the Electoral Commission and all the political parties present at IPAC agreed to do this, as has been stated earlier, in the name of transparency. And in fact, the Electoral Commission even, did what you say more than expected by giving out the daily list of people who had applied for transfer to all the political party agents present at the various district offices where the exercise, has been taking place. And so they did this out of maximum transparency, and we all agreed, because when you read the act, the provision for this transfer of registered voters, it doesn't make any provision for political party agents to be present. And you will understand, because anytime that you want political party agents to be present, the law makes it explicit. And it even goes ahead, the EC goes ahead to give accreditation to people who have to be present at the premises of the Electoral Commission wherever any of these exercises are taking place. And in line with that, the political parties and sometimes the Electoral Commission organizes training for the people about how they have to conduct themselves and execute their mandates. In this instance, even when you have the political party agents present or party faithful or affiliate present, one challenging thing is that the law has not given them any specified role. In the case of registration, for instance, when you have political party agents present, they had the opportunity to either challenge the process, which was a formal way to lodge their challenge your registration. That means your registration will be put on hold. They had a way to even register their displeasure at anything that would take place or that took place at the registration center in a form of an irregularity form. They issue all these, and they had all those provisions. So in this instance, there are no clear provisions for the political parties agents at the various district offices. So ideally, as I said, it would have been good for them, to be there to monitor whatever will take place over there. But what is also dangerous at the same time is that because you don't have any mechanism for them to even channel their grievances whilst there, if you don't take care, it will result in chaos.
Whose work is it to ensure that those mechanisms are in place? Is it the lacuna in the law we have to fill, or can the EC do that?
Well,
what is your suggestion?
It's a lacuna in the law that we may have to fill. Maybe the law didn't anticipate the situation where political parties will be so agitated about who transferred their vote to somewhere, or we also haven't done enough to educate people about the provisions, the guarantee that people have to provide in order for the EC to agree to admit their request for transfer. Proof of residence. What does the EC demand from these people before they even admit the request? What kind of proof? How rigorous is the proof? And how transparent is it going to be? So that all parties, if you want them to fold their hands, they can fold their hands and know that these are the processes that the Electoral Commission takes. And even after the exercise, if you want to even publish with a proof, this person has moved to this area, it becomes very clear for anyone who has, a different opinion, either to petition or come to the Electoral Commission to present, whatever grievances they have. But the law, I'm sure, didn't anticipate, some of these issues. The mass transfer, has been happening. I think it used to happen previously, but I think it's becoming now prominent because you have a hung parliament. Now everyone knows that parliament is very important. So they are just looking at how to balance their game very well in order to win seats for themselves, to be more influential at the parliamentary level. So the NDC, they have a case anyway. We agreed to do this, even though you may not say that the law explicitly states that they should be there or they shouldn't be there, but we agreed to do this. So if the Electoral Commission thought it otherwise, why wouldn't they use the same platform to, sort out issues before they would issue any release? Ordering political parties to withdraw their agents from the various offices of the Electoral Commission.
All right, thank you, Guilford. I just want to build on that last point you made. And I mean, you made the same point, Dr. Computer, that there's a lacuna in the law. And my question is, this is not the first time we are having a vote transfer exercise. It's not even the first time we are experiencing any sort of election. So what's different this year? Why are you so concerned, although the EC has given a direct order, a directive that you should not, for the sake of security, you should not deploy your agents to the various centers to observe this exercise? What is so different? What did we do last 4 years, last 8 years, that this particular year you are so agitated and you want to defy a directive from the EC. What's different?
The difference is that the posturing of this current electoral commission doesn't allow anybody to go to sleep and allow them to think that they are independent body, because they have not shown enough good faith to warrant that kind of accolade that we used to know about the electoral commission. I walk you through the process. Look at what happened in 2020. The 2020, how many type results did she declare? On the 9th, she declared one. In the evening, she changed the results. In the morning, 10th, she changed another result. Several changes before, as we speak now, you can't even pinpoint which result did she used to declare Nanadu as a president. Changes, that's one. When she was asked to come in at the big cross-examination, she ran away. She dodged it, she refused. Look at what happened at the registration exercise of 2023. My dear, one of the most shambolic we ever had in the 2023. As we speak now, they are still battling to sanitize the register of 2023 because a lot of names were taken out from the register. We did an election, assemblyman election, where ballot papers got shot in polling stations. Have you ever seen that before? So this kind of electoral commission, that is noted for this kind of wrongs. Just recent registration, fake figures, wrong figures were being churned out.
Right.
We corrected them.
Is that reason enough to defy a directive from the Electoral Commission? Are you not taking the law into your own hands?
No, we are not. We are not. We all agreed on 29th, IPAC. This is a consultative body that agreed. We are all stakeholders in this business. Where there is a lacuna, we have two choices. Either you go for transparency or you go for opacity. Who will go for opacity? The motto of Electoral Commission is transparency. Go and read it. It's put in there. So you must be transparent in whatever you are doing. So if there's a lacuna, we all agree that in order to plug that lacuna, let's go for transparency.
But do you see,
and they don't want it.
Do you see the wisdom in this decision, though, that it is because of the violence that we saw over the weekend, they've decided that political party agents should not be present because that's what starts the violence that we're experiencing. Do you see the wisdom in that?
There is no wisdom in that because I've given you examples, several examples of violence in elections, violence in registration. That didn't stop the process. That didn't stop it from having our agents. You can't just take one or two incidents in order and say the whole country, no NDC agent. And we are telling you that the evidence we have, with the intelligence we have, with people moving bussing people to go and... Can you imagine doing transfer? And some people will think together, put themselves into a big bus to go and do transfer. Where has it happened before? And you think that political party, we should fold our arms and allow this. This is what we call gerrymandering. They want to gerrymander the electoral boundaries in order to inure their benefit for parliamentary elections.
Dr. Computer, do you realize what you're saying? You are not just talking about gerrymandering, which is a part of a bigger problem.
Yes.
You are basically saying,
yes,
and you have to watch your words, you're basically saying the Electoral Commission is in cahoots with whichever entity to rig the 2024 elections. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, we are very clear in our mind in that. And we are very clear. Even at IPAC yesterday, we didn't miss where we told them. We put them with the Electoral Commission. We put them to strict proof on that. Because my boss read out the intelligence that we picked, the numbers, the movement of the numbers. And I'm telling you, look, gerrymandering happens long since before the event of voting. You fold your arms and allow register to be manipulated, names to be moved from one constituency to another in badges, and you don't watch it closely. You go to the event, and then they will go and then legitimize that kind of thing on the elections. And then you will think that it's free and fair election. It's not free and fair election. The election was rigged way, way back before the voting.
You can't take comfort in the fact that if this applies, it applies to the MPP. It applies to all other parties. You can't take comfort in that.
That is why I'm saying that the bone of contention is between the NDC and our main opponent. Don't forget, in Parliament, we've locked horns of 137, 137. And it's only the independents that separated us. Now you are going to a major election of this nature, and buses, people are being bussed from one area to another. Numbers are being moved from one area to another. Yesterday we asked them about figures. The Electoral Commission had the audacity to tell us that they don't have figures as of now.
Who specifically said that?
Their director. The deputy commission, two of them were sitting, the bossman and the Tete.
Which one said it?
Tete said it because we asked for data as we are doing, because they said they want to move the gadgets to the universities. to aid the university students to do transfers who are currently on campus. And we said, where is the data? Because he mentioned that a lot of them are massing up at their offices to do the transfers. So in order to ease this pressure, they want to do that. And we said, look, we are for it. We want to help our university students. But where is the data? Which data account for this decision that you want to take? In any case, we are talking of provisional register. We don't even have provisional register as we speak now. The EC does not have a provisional register.
The same EC?
Yes. And we ask them, where is the figure? Do you know that now, just ask the EC, what is the total registered people as we speak now? Can they tell you? They say they are still adding up the figures. That is what we are talking of. And so if we have this type of EC, and you think that we should fold our arms and say, we trust these people, they should go ahead. If we hadn't seen the discrepancies they were churning out, do you know the security implication of those figures that they were trying to do? If we hadn't stopped them and made Ghanaians to see the import of those fake figures they were bringing out, on December 7th, you and I will be sitting in the studio here, and then people will vote 19,000, then they will announce 25,000. That is the issue we are talking about. And then so we are clear in our mind when we are saying that we will not withdraw our agents from the place. We will allow them to continue to supervise. They are not interfering in it. They themselves agree. In any time there is violence, it is not the agents. My boss made it clear to them. You must look at the causation aspect of it. Who is causing that? If the actors are the people, because mostly it is the actors, the fanatics, who stand around there, who cause all this mess. So if the security agents cannot hold the fanatics to order and allow the agents to do their work, and now you are now trying to extrapolate the whole thing to look at it is how can one person stop a whole bus? One person.
So during the limited voter registration exercise, I was on the ground. I spoke to some party agents, and the NDC and NPP all admitted that they were merely providing a means of transport to some of these young ones to go to the various polling stations to register. So when you talk about the issue of busing, yes, both the NDC and the NPP have been busing people, and you say it's no crime. So what exactly is your evidence that this special voting registration process, there's some sort of conniving going on between the NPP and the EC? Exactly what are you basing this allegation on? For which reason you're defying the EC's directive?
See,
be as specific as possible.
Yes, registration exercise is different from transfers. Registration, they put the kids at their offices there. Instead of decentralizing it to all the electoral areas.
In transfer, you go as an individual where you produce your documents,
so the people have to move from far distance to come and do the registration because they caused it. The Electoral Commission caused it. It wasn't the political parties. Now it's transfer. You are in the community. They said you are in the community. You must stay in the community for 12 months. That is why the CIC stay in the community for 12 months. That qualifies you to transfer your vote to that community. You don't need to pass yourself from long distance to come and do. What is the essence of me going to Cape Coast when I know I don't stay in Cape Coast to do my transfer?
So the NDC is not providing...
No, at all. Completely. Because transfer, we think that the law says stay in you are in the community. Either you are a resident in that community or ordinary resident in that community. 12 months. Because they know that these people, they can't get them in the community to do that. They are passing them from somewhere.
Where?
We've given you the figures. Look at what is going on in Willensi. Willensi constituency, I'm giving an example. 5 buses, 2 from Accra, 2 from Tamale, that's Sandargu, and 1 from Bimbila. 5 buses, load of people to Willensi constituency to transfer. The footage is there.
How did you come by this information?
Oh, the footages, even your sister's stations in the TV station in Tamale, aired those footages where the innocent young people didn't even understand what they were sending them to do. Only for them to announce that they were coming to do transfer. They said, we're not from Willensi. We don't even know the community. And you brought us here to do transfer. When they insisted, they were giving them 200 Ghana cedis. They still insisted they won't do. So they abandoned them. They had to get other buses to now transport them back to Tamale. So see what they are doing. You bus people without even telling them what you are going to do, only for on the way.
So let me just ask you this. So while again the CI doesn't talk about busing and all of that.
Yes.
Should we get to the point where busing is disallowed for all of you? Should we get to that point?
No, completely. You see, it's the law agencies who are supposed to enforce the law.
But you see...
But what is the law? There is no concrete...
No, the thing is, I'm saying that
on busing
if the Electoral Commission do their work, for instance, during the registration exercise, you bought kits, you had almost 8,000 kits. That was used for the 2020. This time you are using about 6,000 electoral, the electoral areas we have in Ghana. Why can't we deploy to all the electoral areas so that registration become accessible as envisaged in the CIA to the registrant,
right?
So that to stop this busing.
All right, I understand. And some crucial issues have been raised in respect of, look, you say we should go to the district office or some other places like with the limited voter registration exercise, and the distances for some people are inhibitive.
Yes.
And they wouldn't want to travel those. It's even sometimes it's financial.
That is it.
Am I going to have the
Very
money?
true.
So, but it doesn't affect only NDC.
That's why I'm saying
voters.
that for
It affects everybody.
The course is easy. They have forced this busing during the registration.
Okay.
And we're saying that you don't extend that one to transfer. Transfers.
So the EC has forced it, and you, the political parties, are taking advantage of it because both of you have engaged.
No, we are.
But let's also introduce into the conversation Dr. John Osai-Kwapong. He is a CDD fellow. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
It appears every week or two something comes up as far as election 2024. But just to throw it to you before Sweetie comes back in, what is your take on developments so far, having heard from the NDC? And it's important to note, just a few weeks ago when we hosted Sweetie, Remy Edmondson. Right? Is it the PPP?
Yeah.
He was here also talking about the fact that there had been some such deliberation with the EC. They hadn't agreed on anything. And next thing you know, you remember what he said. The EC had come out to paint a picture as though there had been an agreement on the thing when it hadn't even been deliberated upon in that light. What do you make of, one, the EC and its positioning, two, the NDC and its positioning, and three, the NPP? Your take.
So on the EC's position, I mean, I can understand the concerns that it expresses that, look, if this thing is going to be characterized by violence, then party agents don't show up. But it also seems a bit arbitrary, right? In the sense that if this was a move, although not required for the purposes of transfers, but rather, you know, in conversations and discussions with IPAC, you know, the party representatives being there, you use this platform to build that consensus, to come to an agreement that said, okay, this will be a good thing to do as part of this transfer process. And then something happens which creates concerns for the EC. I think it would have been more appropriate for the EC to have pulled the political parties back together on that same platform to say, look, people, we agreed to do this thing because we believe it's a good thing, but we have seen, you know, one or two incidents of violence. We don't know if the rest of the exercise is going to be characterized by the same level of violence. Perhaps we need to rethink this. Talk it out with the political parties, just as you did in the decision to say would allow you there, and build that consensus. The new consensus may mean, you know what, we would make sure that nothing untoward happens, or the concerns are so grave that, well, maybe EC, we would withdraw or something. But I think it's to just do it in a way that didn't use the same consultative process that arrived at the earlier decision. I think that is where, for me, the EC somewhat erred, even though I do understand their concern. The other thing too is that I don't think you can base such a decision also on, let's say, a single or two incidents of violence. Yes, you don't want to wait for it to be widespread, but I mean, if you look at the entire exercise, if it has been generally peaceful, then again, this is where you want to have conversations with your political parties using the IPAC platform to say, guys, you know, let's make sure that this is violent free, this is free of any other incidents that may might. So that's the EC. I mean, if you look at the NDC, the NDC's issue with the EC, as we've discussed on this platform a few times, ultimately boils down to the issue of trust. And when trust is missing, even when you cough, people would want to know why you're coughing. I mean, it could be that you have a dry throat and a legitimate reason to cough, but it would not sit well. And at this point, I don't know. Yes, the actions or inactions of the EC seems to be what is generating some of these concerns that the NDC as a party has. But at some point, there has to be some reconciliation of this deep-seated issues and deep-seated mistrust between these two entities. I mean, you can't go into a major, in my opinion, you can't go into a major election with your main opposition party still having deep mistrust of the Electoral Commission, who is charged with playing this fair and impartial arbiter role in the upcoming election. I mean, I was very encouraged when the NDC returned to IPAC, because then I said, look, at least they've shown some good faith effort that they would engage with the platform and engage with the EC using the IPAC platform. And hopefully that allows, again, that building of consensus and repairing that frosty relationship between the two entities. But it just seems like that frostiness is coming back again, and questions are being raised about, the intentions of the EC and what the EC is planning or planning not to do with regards to the 2024 election. And at some point, I believe that it may take some third party to try and bridge that trust gap between the two entities. Yes, I know that the political parties would always stay vigilant, will always play their role in sort of overseeing every part of the electoral process. But when it is driven by this deep level of mistrust, for me, it requires a lot more conversation and reconciliation at some point to ensure that even if the trust is not back at 100%, it is at an appreciable level going in into the 2020 elections. Sorry, the 2024 elections. My worry about about the decision to say we will still have our agents there is, does it create more tension, and how is the EC going to respond in the face of quote unquote this defiance from the NDC? I mean, what happens if today, in a transfer process, there are NDC agents there? Will the EC call in security forces and ask them to forcibly remove the agents? And then what does that mean for, the smoothness of the process? It can potentially get, chaotic. And so that is where, in as much as I understand where the NDC is coming from, I'm also wondering if they can, in the meantime, still, comply. I mean, are there other ways in which they can do, that verification when the process is over, to, mount any challenges, etc., etc. I'm just concerned of what would happen at the centers if they still insist that they would have, their agents there. But again, it boils down to, an issue of mistrust that at some point, hopefully, it can be resolved.
On the
well,
go ahead.
Let's quickly bring in Justin Frimpong-Kodia, who is General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. He joins the conversation now. Good morning, Mr. Kodia.
Morning, Ben. How are you?
I'm well. I hope you're well too.
Yes, I'm well too. I was in the middle of a meeting, but I've just come out, so I hope the discussion can be.
We're immensely grateful for that. Thank you so much. This entire wrangling between the NDC and the EC, your party has said we'll let the law, at least what the EC has directed, take its course. But Looking at how we got here, do you feel there's a way of continuing with this, allowing agents to be at post and still maintaining some peace and security? What's your take?
Well, to start with, greetings to your listeners. What is the position of the law? That is where we should start from. Does the law make room for agents to be at where we are doing transfers?
Does the law bar agents?
Or does the law allow agents?
Does the law bar agents?
And does the law allow agents? So they are the same thing. Let's refer to Regulation CI 127, Regulation 22, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very clear about what is supposed to transpire there. Unlike registration that asks political parties to bring their agents, even that one is under the authorization of the Electoral Commission. With respect to transfers, the law is very clear. It is the returning officer who is supposed to vet the person who wants to transfer his post. Upon being satisfied that indeed the person has provided proof that indeed is a resident at the place that he wants to or he seeks to transfer his post. Regulation even 22.2 even makes a point that it does not matter even if the person does not reside there permanently, but if the person is a student or a member of the security services, the person has a right to apply for transfer. That one is very clear. So I don't see why there should be even issues about agents being there and challenging. Or the Electoral Commission gave it to us to come there to observe. If you are just an observant, you don't determine who has a right to transfer his vote or not. The rules are clear. It's saying returning officer. So are we saying that all the returning officers in Ghana, they are all NPP people?
Without the presence of the agents, can the process be manipulated?
No, but at the end of the day, the agent does not have a right to decide who can be transferred or not. Let us stick with the law. Without the law, then there will be anarchy in the country. That's why I made a reference to CI 127. What does the CI 127 say? It gives power to the returning officer. So then are we saying that on the election day, we are going to employ our own returning officers to count ballot papers for us and declare results?
This is the same EC that has been bedeviled with issues of even sometimes the type of people that they have at these polling stations or centers. And no, hold for me, and that they may be politically tainted. Don't you think that is a problem?
But it's the same issue that has run election from 92 to date. NPP has won election from opposition. They have lost election even in government before. Likewise, the NDC. Please let us not take unnecessary tension in this country. We are only one Ghana. We are only one country. Without this country, we are nobody. Why should we allow this thing to degenerate into confusion and chaos? I'm expecting that as fourth estate of the rep, is for us to make sure that at least we make sure that the rules are applied. If the Electoral Commission is doing something that is in contravention with the CI or the rules, that is fine. Then we can all criticize the Electoral Commission. But the position is that the Electoral Commission has the right to give that directive, which is yes. We are there as observers. If at the end of the day, they feel that the agents being there is creating problems at the various transfer centers, and in their result, they feel that we should all leave. Why should that be a problem?
Mr. Kodia, the NDC are saying that their concerns is coming from your actions, the NPP. And Dr. Computer is in the studio. He made some allegations about busing people from Accra to some parts of the northern country to transfer votes. Your response to that?
You know, there's a maxim in law that says, "Alligator et probeta." He who alleged has got to prove. The person cannot just come and sit in the registration and make accusation. We can all do the same. What is the evidence? In any case, what shows that those people who are coming to do the transfer don't live in the constituency? Refer to Regulation 22.1 and 2. One says the person should have lived there for 12 months. If that is the case, the person has to show proof, and that proof has to be sent to the return officer for him to be convinced that indeed the person lives there. So the issue about this person lives there, does not live there, it's an allegation. Let's speak with facts. But
this particular exercise, should we be busing people?
That's a different matter.
This particular exercise, transfer of votes, should political parties be busing people to do this?
I've not seen anything of that sort, and I have no comment to make on that one. It's an allegation that someone is making, and wait, I'm expecting you to ask him to provide evidence and proof of that.
All right, so I have two more questions for you, and then we can wrap because you've been so magnanimous with us.
I'll have to enter the.
No, they are very brief.
I'm sorry about this.
Kodia, if you can just indulge me on this one. So are your agents going to be at the centers or not?
No, we are going to comply with the directive of the Electoral Commission.
All right. Thank you very much, Justin Frimpong Kodia, as General Secretary of the MPP. He made some time to speak to us. I would have wanted to find out from him if the shoe had been on the other foot as well, whether the MPP, let's say in 2015 getting into 2016, or in 2016, if this were happening, whether the MPP would have said they would agree not to send their agents there. It would have been an interesting question. I also wanted to reiterate what Dr. Computer had said, but unfortunately time did not allow, that indeed they have footage in respect of the busing incident. Did you say Willency? Is it Willency?
Willency constituency. And Taltal, I'll give you more evidence. Taltal, you see what happened yesterday.
So what evidence you have, do share with us.
I'll give it to you. If I can forward it to you.
We shall take it from there.
They buzzed people there. And interestingly enough, they were not smart enough. They photocopied the license bill of the MP house to give to them to indicate that they are from the MP house. They were just away from the place. Because clearly they could see that everybody knows the MP, they know his house. They know the number of people who are in there. And you go and bring about 50 people, and all of them holding the same license bill of the MP. So you see the thing we are talking about.
You have this as evidence?
I said it's there, but agents are there. You see, that's why we have our agents there. The agents, you see, interesting that the agents are not obstructing the process. Look, we have trained them, we have advised them what to do. And if you look at the statement from our General Secretary, it's very clear on that. We are for peace. We just want them to observe the process. We don't want to interfere even in whatever they are doing, but to observe to be sure that the person that they are talking is rightly put it by the General Secretary of the MPP. Yes, he quoted copiously from the CI, and the CI is very clear on that. And so if you are not 12 months in the constituency, why then do you move there to do transfer?
And your claim is that some of these people did not even, you say when they were queried, they did not even know why they were there.
They were there. I said the footage is there. The video footage, I've sent it to you because listen, I would have shown you and you see. They were interviewing them. And they said they didn't even know why they brought them to that constituency. Only for them to say that they should come and transfer. And they said, we are not from the place. They were said that we are not from there. We thought you said you were coming to give us a job and we should come and look at areas that we can get the job, only for you to be telling us that we should transfer our vote to the constituency. From Sanaru. This is all about social media. And so that is the problem we are saying that, look, the issue at stake is that we just want to engender peace, transparent processes that everybody is looking for in these upcoming elections. And I'm saying that the EC has not done enough to warrant that we should fold our arms and allow them to do whatever they want to do. That administrative letter or memo they issued on Sunday was in bad faith, complete bad faith, because we all agree. If you all agree and you are going to vary it, come back to us. Let's give reasons why we want to vary that our decision. But you don't do this, and then the following day, you expect me to agree to what you are doing. That is why we also quickly issue a statement telling our agents not to accept. Because look, do you know what happened? Up to now, they are still struggling. Less than 24 hours to election, this EC issued a statement telling them not to vote for parliamentary district. Stop them from participating in the parliamentary election. Less than 24 hours to election, 2020 elections. This same EC, knowing very well that we are having IPAC meeting on Monday, Sunday quickly issue a memo telling their people to stop us from participating in the process. So we should fold our arms. When we get to December 5th or December 6th, then this EC will issue a statement saying because they have the authority, don't do this on December
7th, and you think we should comply with that, we won't.
So we're
not going to comply
about
with this.
Folding your arms, but you were in the meeting yesterday.
Yes.
All political parties were represented.
Yes.
And from my understanding, the meeting ended without any conclusion on this matter. So what would be so wrong if you wait to see how the EC decides to move forward rather than actively defying the directive? Also, where is your confidence coming from?
No.
Why are you so sure that you can just defy the directive of the EC and get away with it?
No, we are defying unlawful directive. It's unlawful because...
But the EC has the mandate.
On what grounds are they issuing that statement? We asked them in
So on what ground did they give you that permission that you can all observe the election,
all of us,
the registration?
They were saying that in a situation where there is a lacuna, we have two options. You either choose transparency or you go for opaqueness.
And they chose transparency.
Yes, allowing us to participate. So why are they now going back?
Something happened. No, follow me here. Something happened. Violence. Some people were stabbed. Lives were in danger. For which reason they decided that maybe this decision that we took was not the best. So why don't you just wait and see how they played forward, since the matter has really not been concluded?
Why didn't they wait for us to meet yesterday, discuss over what they are bringing on board, so that we conclude that, look, we all agree, let's not allow our agents because of one or two reasons. But you don't issue that statement. Issue your memo, directing your people, and now ask us to come and sit down and discuss. That's bad faith. That is bad faith. I cannot trust a body like this because I took the decision with you. And so if you are going to vary that decision, wait for me on Monday. In any case, when they took the decision on Sunday, did anybody hack each other on the Sunday? Nothing happened on Sunday. So why couldn't have waited for Monday so that we meet, discuss this one, and say, okay, due to what you are saying, the reasons you are giving, we all advise ourselves and say, let's keep our agents aside. But you took the decision and now come to explain to us the reason. And the reason was violent. We have 268 centers of the electoral offices. 3 out of 300 cannot dismantle all the 260 plus. What are they telling us? What kind of logic is that? I say Kokum in Snafo South, violence happened there. Adansi, Asokwa, Ashantire, violence happened there. Akontambra, Ekumfi, soldiers were chasing people during registration. Violence. Did that stop the registration? Did that stop our agents from observing the registration? I could count you a number of areas where violence happened during the registration. Why didn't they stop that one? This one, just 3. They mentioned 3. They were talking of Contombra. They were talking of Kasua. And where again? I think the third person. I forgot the third area they mentioned. 3 out of 268.
So
and
yes,
you are issuing a memo to
you make a point. You make a point from the numerical, standpoint, and it makes some sense. But it also takes only one area for a spark, that could engulf the entirety of the country. You were talking about the 8 people that lost their lives in the last election. It took one area. Is it Techiman South, right?
It wasn't only Techiman South.
Yes, but I'm saying that was the main place where a number of lives were lost. Do you get it?
Yes.
There were a few other places, but that was the main area. It takes only one. So don't you think it is important, having taken stock of all of this, that maybe, just maybe, you may be within your rights in a way because there is that lacuna in the law, and I'll be addressing that with Dr. Osai-Kwapo. But for the sake of peace, is there a way you can go about this and still ensure that the processes are being followed without necessarily stoking any scenes that maybe we don't want to see?
It's very clear. We made it very clear to them. That's why we told the EC. Sometimes, you see, their own problem. When you are talking to the security agents, at least invite us, we the stakeholders, one from each stakeholder, to sit in the meeting with the security agents. Then we hear and listen properly to what kind of training you are giving to them, so that they don't go there and assume some rules that they don't have. We have one agent at a transfer center. There are a lot of violence is going around their place. The security agents are sitting down looking at them. And you are now blaming the agent for causing that violence. Is he the one causing the violence? The people over there beating each other and hacking each other, you could count not less than 20 or 50 of them. Are they agents? So all these things that we are talking of, we are just blaming the agents for nothing. The agents are in there with the returning officer, standing there, observing they are doing. The people are fighting outside the perimeter. You won't stop them. When the gentleman was allegedly stabbed, was it the agent who stabbed him? It wasn't the agent. That's why we're saying that the causation agents are there. The factors, the actors who are causing it, they know the security agents, they are not helping this process. Because they are there. They are professionals. If you have professional security officers, as they always made us to believe, why can't they keep distance? If you don't, Kaswa is a sport.
Right.
They should have deployed ahead. Ahead of time, knowing that this area, in 2020, the same MP was toting guns. And he was arrested. Up to now, we don't even know the...
It also, two wrongs don't make a right. It also doesn't justify Phyllis having a gun, especially when it is illegal. But hold.
It's perfectly, we are perfectly
right. Hold for me. Let's also bring Guilfred into the conversation as we get ready to wind down. But before we get to our final, takes on this matter, Guilfred, you've listened to different sides. You've listened to the General Secretary of the MPP. You've listened to Dr. Computer in the studio. You've listened to different parties. One thing I would have been interested in hearing is the other political parties at IPAC, some of the major ones, and what their thinking is on this matter. But Guilfred, from where you sit, what then? What's the word? It escapes me. What concessions can be made from the different sides to ensure that we have a peaceful voter transfer process? What do you think?
Okay, well, just a couple of comments before I come on the concession. I think I agree with Dr. Computer on his the kind of resentment the NDC has about the EC not coming back to them, the political parties, to discuss these issues with them. But we all know that IPAC decisions are not binding on the Electoral Commission. I mean, that's an established point, and Dr. Tanko knows about that. So even though we expect the EC to do the right thing, to use the same forum to address their issues, IPAC decisions are not binding on the Commission, and we should accept that. Two, when the Electoral Commission issues some of these directives, and you think these are in bad faith, and you also go ahead and defy, saying, it's more or less like the two wrongs do not make a right. So I think in the name of, peace, for calmness, for everything to run smoothly, the NDC definitely would have to rethink the step that they have taken on this issue. So now coming back to the concessions that we need to make, moving forward, I think the Electoral Commission may have to engage the parties again, because the discussion at IPAC yesterday, we didn't agree on anything. There wasn't any decision. So it is better for the Electoral Commission to direct between IPAC. If they have to even put the exercise on hold, just to settle this issue before we move forward, the Electoral Commission should be able to do that. Again, I think the Commission should also be able to provide more information to the political parties and give them assurance about how the measures they've put in place to ensure that people will not take advantage of the provisions they've made. I know that in the past, the Electoral Commission administratively has taken measures to restrict people from moving from one constituency to the other. When they notice some of these mass transfer requests, they take administrative steps. Are the parties aware? Do they know how the Electoral Commission goes about doing this administratively? Again, the Electoral Commission may decide to make the transfer of votes provisional instead of instant, where you go and then you are transferred. They can choose to make it provisional so that the people who will come to request for transfer in their large volumes will be put on a provisional transfer list. And if there are further information, because the Electoral Commission will give the list to the political parties,
right?
They can still keep hold of the administrative processes and guard the process, but they can seek further information from the political parties or other stakeholders before they verify the list that they have, before they go ahead and transfer people. But as it stands now, I think the NDC would have to reconsider the step that they have taken.
Let me quickly, it's interesting to find out, beyond the EC, the MPP, and the NDC, what are some of the other parties thinking? We're joined now by the National Secretary of the PPP in the person of Remy Edmondson. Mr. Edmondson, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Benjamin.
Please speak up for me. So the NDC is making some assertions when it comes to the IPAC meeting on May the 29th, then the about turn of the EC and all that. What do you make of it? Has the EC been lifted above the board when it comes to this issue and the directive now that party agents shouldn't be at the different centers for vote transfers? What's your take?
All right. Thank you, Benjamin. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, so we find their action as a breach of faith because...
Whose action?
That's the Electoral Commission.
Okay.
Because we had an IPAC meeting, the last IPAC meeting before yesterday was on Wednesday. And at that meeting, we all agreed that political parties would be allowed to have their agents around to, as it were, observe proceedings. And then late Friday, we received a notice to attend an emergency IPAC meeting yesterday. So we were quite surprised. I myself was yesterday morning on my way to IPAC when I heard it being discussed on air that EC had issued a notice to their officers not to allow political party agents to anymore to the centers. And yesterday we questioned them. We found it very surprising because if you called us for a meeting, and the sole agenda was to discuss the ongoing voter transfer exercise. And so we didn't understand why we couldn't wait to dialogue with us since we had all collectively had an agreement just a few days prior. And then again, secondly, when we questioned the EC to let us know, what was the basis for this directive, I know it also had to do with what the incident that had in Kasua. But I wanted to know how many of such incidents warranted, because if you say that something has happened and so political party agents are disrupting the exercise, how many of such incidents have we heard of nationwide? And in any case, there are a lot of such activities go on anytime we're having regular voter exercises. We have a lot of these incidents where party agents are around. So we felt it was quite a bit of premature and quite in bad taste for the EC to solely go ahead to issue such a directive without consulting the political parties who we also are stakeholders in this whole electoral exercise.
Well, Dr. Dr. Computer was just saying in the studio that the EC has no constitutional backing to even issue that directive. What do you say?
Well, yes, that's something we also discussed yesterday. Yes, when it comes to the voter transfer, it turns out the constitution is a bit of silence on that. It doesn't really explicitly state that agents should be present. But like I said, in the interest of, we all had that decision, in the interest of transparency, that, if looking at how high the stakes are, and particularly now that it's so obvious that political parties, the two major political parties, are actually busing people. Previously, voter transfer was not such a high-stake event. Individuals or students or people who had reason to transfer their votes were doing. But now we are seeing political parties actively busing supporters to these registration centers, and that is what is causing all this. So we thought that it's important for the political parties agents to be present to forestall any accusations of illegalities. Already the EC itself is under suspicion from some stakeholders because of their lack of transparency and their opaqueness in some of the things they do. So for them, like I said, it enhances transparency when political agents are around. And if there have been certain incidents of violence, I believe we have ways of dealing with this. There are security agents around, but it doesn't warrant on a wholesale cancelling the agreement that we had for political party agents to be around without consulting us.
All right. Thank you so much for those views, Remy Edmondson with the PPP. Dr. Osai Kwapong, your final words before we wrap up.
Well, I still believe that, in the same way that the EC used the IPAC platform to come up with this original decision, I think it would have been, it would have been a good move to have come back to the same platform. Yes, the EC is independent. IPAC decisions are not binding on the EC, but the good faith effort it made to engage the parties using the IPAC platform to say we would have agents observe the transfer process. I think that same good faith effort should have been used to say, you know what, if you guys are going to create confusion, chaos, etc., then let's have another discussion and let's agree that perhaps this is not the best way to go. Right. Or if we still want to maintain the original decision, look, we would have to put some of these measures, parameters in place to ensure that this doesn't become a chaotic activity. I think this would have, forestalled and saved some of the issues, questions that are now being raised about the motives of the EC. Right. I just want the EC to be in a position to go into the 2024 election with particularly the main opposition party trusting that the EC is not out to get them. But it will take a lot of effort for that to happen.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. John Osai Kwapong, CDD Fellow. That is the Center for Democratic Development. Let me come back to you, Gilfred Esiama, for your final words, and then we can come back in the studio. Gilbert, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Bring us home.
Well, I think it's more engagement. The Electoral Commission and the political parties would have to meet, and then they have to reach a consensus. There must be either compromise on the part of either the Electoral Commission or on the part of the NDC that insists they have to be there. But we expect the Electoral Commission to also give more assurance and provide additional information about what they have put in place to ensure that people will not take advantage of this process, as has been alleged by the various political parties.
Thank you, Gilfred Esiama, research analyst, also with CDD and a CODIO representative. Back to you, gentlemen, in the studio. Benjamin, any final word? Let me come.
No, I think I'll cede to Dr. Computer. I think I've exhausted my thoughts on this matter.
Very well, very well. We are still sticking to our statement from our General Secretary, Honorable Fifi Kuti, and then that of my boss, Dr. Omani Buhama. We want our agents to continue to observe the process. They will continue to be. Even yesterday at the IPAC meeting, my boss rose up and told them to capture it, because those who made reference to that statement was McMenu, the former chairman of NPP. He represented NPP. He made reference to our General Secretary statement, trying to impute some violent connotation in that statement. And it helped us because clearly we read the statement there and everybody saw that there was nothing in that statement that warranted violence. It was rather calling for peace and asking our agents to act professionally on that place. So we asked that they should capture it in the IPAC minutes.
So we're wrapping up.
So clearly we are for peace. We want free, fair, transparent process because we don't want this EC to spring any surprise on anybody come December 7th, like what they are used to. Because this one, the Sunday memo has given us an indication that we should wake up if we're sleeping.
I pray you change your mind. Oh. So your way does not actually cause another problem, another event of violence.
No, it won't. It won't. I can assure you, the NDC, we are prepared for peace. We will make sure that the whole environment is peaceful, and we will protect the sanctity of our electoral process. Whoever is elected, we will support every move. That is what we want to do, but it must be free, fair, transparent.
Thank you.
That is what we are up.
Thank you for joining us.
A pleasure. Well, moving from here, it's been quite a conversation, hasn't it? But we have heard of some developments at the State Transport Corporation and some developments there in terms of their services. Kenneth Desi has been on that beat. We'll bring you snippets of what we gathered up next on the AM show. Do stay.
The State Transport Corporation are unanimous in their demands. They do not want a third deputy managing director. Now, they say that they have 3 deputy managing directors. One of them retired not long ago, and they had the news that he was being replaced by a different person who was supposed to start work today. Now, if you come to the STC yard in Accra, they were clad in red, having posters all over saying that another deputy managing director is a no-no. They have a plethora of problems they want to be dealt with. Some of them include the fleet of cars that are not working.
Ranging from buses that we are using, that is the operational buses. There are very few. And this situation has brought financial strain on the company. Out of over 140 to 150 buses, currently roadworthy buses are about 39 to 40. And see that the fleets have dwindled completely. And with all these difficulties coupled with other staff benefits that the company cannot meet. And we need buses so that we can be able to work, and then the company will be able to pay all this backlog to us. But to our surprise, we heard that a new deputy managing director is coming. Before then, the 3 deputy managing directors that the company currently have, the staff are not happy with it because it has put a financial strain on the company. And if one of them is going, we think it's a relief so that those monies can be used to at least channel towards the payment of this backlog that we are talking about. And if there is anything that the staff of STC need currently, it is buses, not a deputy managing director. What is she coming to manage? With only 39 and going down, as you came, these buses that are just leaving, just right now, they are supposed to have left by 3 a.m. 12. Some of them are supposed to leave by 12 noon, 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. And they have delayed because we were waiting for buses that have gone to come back so that they can go.
Inadequate buses are not the only challenges confronting the STC company. They say that their pensions have not been paid by the company. These are monies that are given to them when they go on retirement. They are questioning why these monies have delayed in being paid, but they are channeling their energy into hiring a 3rd deputy managing director for the company.
We think this is taking a toll on the finances of the company. The little that will come to the staff, you see, you can imagine if you work for 30 years in a company, you are going on retirement, and you go home 2-3 years, your retirement benefit has not been paid to you. What we need currently is buses. If we have the buses, we'll be able to work to pay ourselves well. But without the buses, what is the deputy managing director coming to do? What is she coming to manage? For about 6 million Ghana cedis, that should go to Senate, is not going. And if you go on retirement in STC, there is some lump sum that STC will have to give to you as a retirement package. You go on retirement 2-3 years, you will not receive those retirement packages.
No timelines have been given, but they say they will continue to insist on the revocation of the appointment of a 3rd deputy managing director and to see to it that their demands of the 6 million Ghana cedis pension funds which have not been paid by the institution be paid immediately. From the STC yard in Accra, Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to talk about our demarcations, border demarcations. World Border Day is going to be celebrated shortly. And of course, our own National Boundaries Commission is in the house. We're going to be talking about what they've been up to, how far we've come, and what more we can do in respect of our borders. Usually we talk about land, but there's also airspace, our territorial waters. You remember that incident with Côte d'Ivoire, among others. Joining us in the studio, we have Sarah Ekuban. She is Director for Policy Plans and Programs at the Ghana Boundary Commission. And also joining her, Janet Adama Mohammed, West Africa Director, Conciliation Services. Ladies, good morning. Thanks for joining the conversation.
Resources.
Reconciliation.
Conciliation resources.
Conciliation resources. Okay. I thought I had said that, but in case I hadn't, conciliation resources. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. I'll start with you, Sarah. Where are we in terms of protecting our land borders? You know, recently I was reading something interesting about let me just bring it because it's World Border Day is going to come up. Russia and certain, pulls and pushes, moves and all of that. Estonia and how people feel uncomfortable. So anywhere, it poses problems. Where are we in terms of our border delineation as a country?
Okay, thank you very much and good morning. So for where we are, we've actually made quite a number of progress since the Ghana Boundary Commission was established, or since we came into full operationalization in 2021. We've tried to define our boundaries, international land boundaries. We've done some work on the Ghana-Togo boundary and also the Ghana-Togo. And this year we've had meetings with Burkina Faso hoping to start. So currently, as at today, we've done over 250 kilometers of borders with Togo and 150 kilometers reaffirmation on the Ghana-Cote d'Ivoire side. Not to talk about the fact that we have over 2,000 kilometers of boundaries. So it's a work in progress. We are making progress slowly but surely. So we're trying to define our boundaries and know where Ghana's boundaries.
Before Janet comes in, so before this started, somewhat, 5 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago. And now, what gains would you say we have made? Yes, you've just stipulated, but between then and now, have we added on? Can we quantify, for example, in terms of maybe, I know some pillars had been taken down at a point. What is the status?
Okay, so between then and now, we've made quite a lot of progress, as I mentioned, the reaffirmation, but we're also in the process of, we started construction of new boundary pillars. So in our operational assessments, we realized a number of the boundary pillars that demarcate or define our boundaries were either defaced, destroyed, or way back from the 1960s and all that. So we've had to redo them. And also some of them, the distances are quite wide, so you can't even tell where, in between, you're not sure where you are.
No
whether
man's
you're
land.
In Ghana or whatever. So we've started the construction work of new boundary pillars, which is something that—
In collaboration with the other countries?
In collaboration. everything that has to do with the international boundaries, we always do it in collaboration with our counterparts. So we've made quite a lot of progress in that side. And we've had a number of engagements also with our partners from the other countries. So that's a feather in the cap for us. From where we started till now, a lot has been done.
Janet, I noticed you wanted to—
I just wanted to add that it takes a lot of negotiations to be able to delineate and reaffirm the boundaries. So the Boundary Commission has done a lot of work in terms of dialoguing with the neighboring countries. Some of the pillars have been shifted. There used to also be no man's land between various countries, and there has been a lot of encroachments on either side. And so this requires a lot of negotiation to agree even on where the pillars have to be set, the new pillars have to be located, and also the recreation of the existing pillars to ensure that there are no tensions with our neighbors. So the Boundary Commission has also done a lot within these few years to be able to reach this.
There's this popular place, I forget the name. No, it's also one of those no man's land. When I recall, I'll bring it up. I think people do a lot of activity there.
Sankasi.
No, I will try to
will come to
recall. But Janet, your work, Conciliation Resources, how does it feed into the conversation we're having?
As a civil society organization, which is a peace-building organization, we collaborate with the Boundary Commission in terms of the dialogue aspects and also preparing communities in the border areas to be able to engage in this whole process. You will find it bizarre if you wake up and then all of a sudden you see some people just erecting pillars around your house or near your farmland or something. And so there is a need for people to negotiate. There's the need for people to be aware, to be sensitized on some of these issues. So that's where we come in collaboration with the Boundary Commission to ensure that there is effective dialogue that ensures, effective reaffirmation of the boundaries.
How tricky has it been, Sarah, dealing with entities that have also had military administrations come in, like Burkina Faso, for example, and some of the other countries? We know of the maritime issue we had with Cote d'Ivoire. Thankfully, that has been settled. But there are still some, first of all, lessons to learn from there and other follow-up actions that both parties must comply with. What is the status of that? And have your negotiations been affected in any way because some of these countries have military administrations, for example?
Okay. No, it hasn't. So we deal also more with the boundary commissions, and we have very good relationships with them, even if you're talking about Burkina Faso. So I would say that our relationship hasn't been affected much or negatively in terms of going forward with the work that has to do in terms of our boundaries. We have good collaboration with them, and they also collaborate with us, whatever we need. We just recently had a meeting, I think, a month ago, where in Boga, where they were around, and we even signed a cross-border cooperation agreement on what we can do this year and going forward. So it's a good relationship generally.
The last time we had a conversation, you spoke about some of these developments, what you were going to do at the start of the year, at the midpoint of the year, and collaborating with other countries to ensure that we don't have any friction on the borders. There are also spillover townships. I remember recently we had this conversation where there was a lady when Togo had some elections going on. She had crossed over into Ghana to go to school, and she couldn't get back into Togo until maybe later in the day. How are we addressing some of those townships that are literally, whether in no man's land or feeding into both countries and all that?
Okay, so that's an interesting one because, I mean, we have to realize the fact that generally speaking, we are the same people. I mean, it has to do with the arbitrary creation of the borders. I mean, from the colonial times that have sort of separated families or people who belong together. So what we're doing, we recognize the oneness of us, but what we are doing is a lot more sensitization. So we do more of community engagement or community sensitizations where we are bringing the communities from both sides of the countries together, highlighting the fact that we are one, highlighting the similarities, challenges. So there's a lot more intense sensitization in our border communities. And also we do joint projects together, or usually if we're using the African Border Day, for instance, we try to do a project that brings about unity. So we organize sports together, football games between the countries, or dialogue sessions that we all talk about things like that. So we are recognizing that we're one. Just the fact that some boundary line has separated us doesn't mean we are different. We should just appreciate that we are on two different sides, but we are one people. So it has to do more with engaging the communities, talking to them, sensitizing them at all levels. So we even have targeted sensitization. We are talking to women's group, we are talking to school children, we are talking to the traditional authorities and all that. Everyone is key in this process. So we do a lot of that.
Janet, and your reaction to that?
Yeah, and it's important to also state that even the border officials need to be sensitized.
True.
So sensitizing the border officials to ensure law and order is attained at the border regions is also part of the functions of the Border Commission and civil society. So the people themselves need to be sensitized about the norms and the rules and regulations. A chief could be located in Ghana and the people are in Togo, but that does not mean that the people in Togo must not obey the laws and the norms of the country. So you need a lot of sensitization in that region to ensure that people understand what to do and what not to do.
Right. And this is a question I've put to you before. I'll go back to it because gradually I know that while you focus on land, our maritime borders also are a concern to you. We'll not go into the air today. We'll just focus on land and sea. There has been a lot of activity in our maritime borders, people fishing illegally from other countries. And there was even this incident where, you know, sometimes there are these people, I've just forgotten the term. We had a piece out on that where I saw it on our platform where someone, you know, serves as an individual for the community, sort of like a watchdog or something of the sort. And some of these people have gone missing, Ghanaians, no trace. One of them, family man. No, I mean, are these issues as well that fall under your purview, under your domain, and with how Ghana is being, I use this word cautiously, raped sometimes in our own maritime borders? How are you dealing with those situations?
Okay. So that doesn't fall directly or within the mandate of the Ghana Boundary Commission. Ours has to do with delimiting the boundaries, or even when it comes to land, it's the same thing, defining the boundaries in terms of the hardcore security aspects or what happens in the illegal fishing and all those things. That doesn't fall us. But of course, we collaborate with stakeholders, for instance, the Ghana Navy and all that. So if there are issues of concern, we alert them, they alert us. But ours, I mean, sticking to our mandate has to do with defining, so that if they are working, they know where delimitation. If they are in the space, they know that, okay, we have defined or delimited the maritime boundary. This is where Ghana's boundaries ends. Yes.
And then we come to World Border Day. I'll start with you, Janet, on that.
African Border Day.
African Border Day. Right. Thanks for the correction. And especially here in our part of the world, there are a lot of these, pockets of issues. If you go to Eastern Africa, they have their own issues there. We will not go towards the Sudans and the rest. And then we come to West Africa. Every now and then, there's a little bit of a tussle. How relevant is it, this celebration, to what we are discussing and to our national lives? What is your reflection on that? I'll come to you, Sarah, with the same question.
It's very relevant for us to, first of all, recognize that we are one people. And it is just borders artificial borders.
I was going to add, artificially created.
Artificially created borders that separate us. And it is important for us to look at, why are these borders created? Why are they created in the first place? And try to understand what we can do with these artificially created borders to the benefit of either side of the border. And so the Africa Borders Day is to help us to understand the use of our borders. Is it to enhance trade? Is it to ensure our safety and security? Is it to reaffirm our unity? And that is a day of reflection to help us to understand what we want to do with our borders. And I think that is important for us to reflect on this going forward, especially in the light of the challenges that are in the environment, the insurgencies, the corruptions in the border areas, but also the trafficking and all that. What do we want to do? So it's a day of reflection, if you ask me. It's a day of deep reflection, and I think everyone should be involved in it.
Well, something that naturally comes to mind, though it's not up for discussion, would be how this arbitrary carving out of Africa and deciding this is this place and this is that place and this belongs to me and all of that, how it has affected our own unity. But that will be a discussion for maybe AU Day and not, Africa Borders Day. But in terms of the relevance, it's Friday, the 7th. What does this Africa Borders Day seek to achieve? What is the significance of this day?
So the African Border Day, just to give a bit of background, is a day that was instituted by the African Union back in 2010. And it was to create an awareness on elimination of all sorts of conflict along our boundaries or borders, and also to create the idea of unity or cross-border cooperation, and also to ensure that we are all, defining our boundaries. We know where the boundaries are. But the objective in doing that is to create, fitting within the African Union border program, is to create, while we are conscious of the boundaries, is to note that they become bridges, not barriers. So the idea is to just create that awareness, as she said, that we are one people, but also recognizing how we can each define our spaces and move from there, and how we can collaborate together in that regard. So that day is quite relevant. So it's not just, as he said, it's on the 7th of June, that's Friday. And that we use it, member states use that to create more awareness. And that is the relevance of it. But beyond that also, we're also using that to make sure that countries or member states that do not have national boundary structures seek to institute that or have that in place, because then it's the Boundary Commission, the national boundary structures, that drive this process of creating awareness or highlighting the awareness. And another thing also has to do with development of border areas. We know that oftentimes these areas are often neglected and all that. So as part of the commemoration, what we do is spotlights or throw highlights on what is happening in these border areas and what can be done to enhance their livelihoods or in these border areas. So for us, it's very key, and then it helps us to throw light on some of these things.
Some, 13 years ago in 2011, it was held for the first time in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Where is it going to be held this time? I mean, what's going to be the venue? What shape will it take?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so at the regional level, it's going to still be held in Addis Ababa. They have, at the African Union headquarters, they commemorate the day, and then we have member states, some of it take part in the commemoration. But at the national levels, we all do our own way. What we are doing, still building on last year, we doing more of sensitization to create awareness of the day and the importance of the day. But moving beyond next year, we'll go on a bigger platform where we're engaging or doing something together with our counterparts from the other countries, as we did, I think about 2 years ago with Cote d'Ivoire. We had construction of water systems, free health screening, development projects and all that. So that is what we are seeking to do. But to get there, and because we'll be moving into the border communities, we want to create that awareness so that when we go there, there's that acceptance and to receive us, and then what we have for them. Yes.
Janet, what would be your expectations of African Border Day come Friday?
It's a day where I expect that people in the border communities do a reflection to understand their relationships and also to understand the functions of borders and border pillars, because some of them even build their houses using the border pillars as part of the pillars to their homes. They also build across, they undertake activities across the borders without understanding of the rules and the norms. So the sensitization that is being done by the Border Commission would highlight these issues for the border communities so that they can stay safe and they can feel more secure that they belong to a country, a nation.
All right. If you have any final words in some 20 seconds each, I'll start with you again, Janet, if you have any final words.
I would say that all institutions that function in the border areas should support the celebration of the Border Day by sensitizing people in terms of their functions, their own institutional functions, so that it can help people who cross the borders safely, and also to provide alert because of the insurgency. They should provide alert.
Right. For you, Sarah?
Okay, so for the day itself, I would also want to say that we have to think beyond the day. We come here to talk about it on that day, but border issues or boundary issues is not just a one-day event. So adding to the sensitization, get the word out there, and also know that it's a collaboration or partnership. We don't just do it alone as the Ghana Boundary Commission. We are relying on the support of all stakeholders. We work with the civil society, we work with development partners, and also we all come on board to make sure that Ghana's boundaries are safe and secure. It's a collective effort, so that's what I would want to add. We can do it together.
Thank you so much, ladies. I would like to say a good morning and salute my own ex-lecturer. he always puts me on the spot, Major General Emmanuel Kotia, who has been doing the watching, actually. But those who joined us in the studio, Sarah Kuban, Director for Policy Plans and Programs at the Ghana Boundary Commission. Thank you for joining us. And then Janet Adama Mohammed, West Africa Director, Conciliation Resources. Did I get it right this time?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. But still to come on the AM show, it still is our latest public lecture. Joy News, collaborating with an amalgam of professional bodies, is organizing a public speaking event. And the topic, looking beyond the Fourth Republic towards nation building, the case for citizens' mindset revolution. It's coming up, and we're going to be having a conversation on that up next. This Thursday, it's happening. What you should know, we'll be bringing you right after the break. Well, Welcome back on the AM show. Before we get into our next conversation, attention all HD Plus subscribers, starting from the 13th of June 2024, SES HD Plus Ghana will provide HD channels to free-to-air TV homes at no cost. This means that all users of the multi-TV platform will have access to HD channels without paying HD Plus subscriptions. So there are some key points to remember. Stay with me. 1. As of the 16th of April 2024, no new HD Plus subscription purchases or activations will be available. Existing HD Plus decoders will receive free-to-air channels until the 13th day of June 2024. 2. Subscribers with active subscriptions beyond the 13th of June 2024 will be compensated. Such customers will be contacted by the HD Plus number 0242 439 872 from the 30th day of April. Now, such subscribers are encouraged to call the HD Plus number 0242 439 872 from the 1st of June 2024. TikTok. Well, the third point to take stock of, from the 30th of May 2024, update your HD Plus decoder to access the new free-to-air HD channels. And support will be available until the 20th day of June 2024. So kindly look out for the over-the-air software and upgrade your decoder upon the release of the software. And 4. Users of compatible Samsung QLED and UHD integrated TV sets should note that the My HD Plus TV app and My HD Plus mobile app will not be available from the 30th of May 2024. So a special note at the end. To redeem subscriptions, compensations, confirm your HD Plus number, provide a valid Ghana card and a mobile money number by the 30th of April 2024, or a Ghana ID as well will be accepted. HD Plus will issue the last batch of compensations by the 20th of June 2024 and will not be liable for making any payments if subscribers remain unreachable or do not follow up with the call center on 0242 439 872 before the deadline. We thank all our cherished customers for the patronage. We are ushering in a new era of television in Ghana, ensuring that accessibility and quality entertainment go hand in hand. Well, let me come into the studio now, and I am pleased to have Samuel Nkum Tenkrang. He is coordinator for the Amalgam of Professional Bodies, and he joins me to talk about the latest public lecture we're having, and that comes off on Thursday. Yes, yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
You are looking, I've already said it, but I'm saying it officially on
Thank you.
Right.
This is from Nalem. Maybe he has to come.
Let's see how that goes. But tell us about this latest public lecture. What went into it? Was the reasoning behind it? Just walk us through what has brought us to this point.
Thank you very much, Ben. We've traveled this journey with you and your Joy News team as collaborators. This idea of public lectures, if you like, fronted by professional bodies, right? Started last year. And you know that over the years, professional bodies have been, if you like, on and off. We realized last year that in the public discourse, the space is, so crowded, but we don't hear the voices of professionals. So I think that was, the first lecture was in July, and the topic was on neoliberalism. I mean, we know what is happening, public services, privatize, provide safety networks and that kind of thing. Structural adjustment, when it all started and all that. So where are we now? Are we under free markets, and are regulations working? Are there safety networks and all that? That lecture was led by our own Yaon Sako. And then the next one was in August, when the kidney dialysis issues, came up. We had my own friend, Kwame Sapon-Siedu, who is a CDD fellow and a pharmacist for that matter, come and talk about as to whether the Fourth Republic has delivered health dividend that we are we were all expecting,
right?
Still expecting. Then come November, we assembled again and then, give a lecture suggesting that if possible, all political parties may have to toe one line. And the one line is not to force them to implement one particular agenda, but then there should be a common manifesto, if you like, based on what our own National Development Commission is doing, statutory body. But then it appears political parties come to power and their governments to a different, development line in terms of agenda altogether. And
recently we had the NDPC again
sure.
launch another 7-year,
sure.
and you ask yourself, how many times will we go?
Whatever. Yes. And then, so we continued. And this year we decided to do at least one lecture every quarterly.
Right.
So March, we involved the religious leaders as to whether they are also helping, our development. I mean, after the preaching, what next? So that was in March. And this is the second in the series for this year. And we are taking the fight, so to speak, to mindsets revolution. And we have our own dear Akusia Bami, who is coming to speak on the subject. So it's all about trying to get professionals on whom the state has, if you like, committed so much investment. Whether we like it or not, we have all benefited from the largesse of the country as a state. But we have to give something back.
Right.
And professionals must be seen to be talking or speaking on national issues. That doesn't suggest that, if you are not a professional, you cannot speak on national issues. But professionals, there are some investments made in professionals, and we should see them actually coming forward to also pay something back to help nation building. And this one is actually talking about nation building, but it takes a particular mindset, not only about leaders, but also about citizens. So how do we go about it? And that will be the subject for Akusia Bami to discuss.
All right, so the topic again, looking beyond the Fourth Republic towards nation building, the case for a citizen's mindset revolution. So how do we move further towards nation building, and how do we get that citizen's mindset revolution? I've always said that this battle of development is a battle of the mind, and especially when it comes to Africa, where we find ourselves. The mindset, even in our politics, the mindsets are wrong. Sometimes it's interesting when you are hosting certain shows and bringing up certain discussions, because you see certain comments coming through from people on this divide or people on that divide, and you ask yourself, when shall we, so to speak, grow and get out of this abyss?
So when it comes to nation building, it's about the collective. We have individual, if you like, standpoints and mindsets, the way we think and act. But what will deliver the goods will be the collective. And leadership is important. Individuals and the way they think and act, they are all very, very important. But leadership is critical, honestly. I mean, if I may continue, look at the scenario about CEOs.
Right.
They are given a charge. If you perform, you are rewarded. And ask any CEO, and especially the excellent ones, those who excel, what they have to go through to excel. You have the organization, it is your vision that drives everything in the organization. So if you have a vision and you are unable to communicate to your stakeholders, work with the board, ensure that the board has, if you like, the freedom to work without interference. Your stakeholders, if you like, the citizens in our context. How do we interact? The safety nets and all that I was talking about. And then also to ensure that they also act as good citizens. This is all part of the package. And you yourself, as the leader, you have a personal ethic.
Right.
You understand? You have a personal, working norms that you have to follow. And this will, if it is clearly, communicate, or even remember that your subjects, and for that matter, your stakeholders, we do observe. And if they don't register properly, then there will be problems. So, at least for now.
Well, we do have David Ofosu-Dorte. Everyone knows him. He's famous for posting some mind-provoking stuff on social media.
A lawyer of international repute.
Exactly.
Yes.
Kwame Sapong-Esiedu, a CDD fellow, a pharmacist, and a PhD holder in that regard. And of course, Akosua Bame, the main speaker. And our very own Evans Mensah is going to chair that occasion. It's slated for Thursday, the 6th of June, 2024. The time is 6:30 p.m. and the venue is the British Council. I know it's going to be a hybrid event. You'll also be online
that is it,
as well.
yes.
What else? What will be your final words on this?
Oh, we encourage, not only professionals. We have invited political parties. We have sent invitations to the clergy. The last program we you remember we invited, field leaders across board. We have done the same thing. And educational institutions should do well to also. These are free lectures, and they provide good case studies for students and examination purposes. And it's amazing when you have to build your skills from every angle, and then so that you can be yourself. And that is what a good citizen must be. You must not be a copycat. Be yourself, be a good citizen, and we all have to work together to build our nation collectively from individual angles. And then, these partisanship and divide and rule, whatever the Constitution is providing, when we have a leader, good citizens who want to behave well, they can behave well. And that is what we are going to talk about. Let's listen to Akosua and the discussants, and I think we can pick something home.
Let's do better for our country, and it starts with us. Samuel Nkum Tenkrang is coordinator for the amalgam of our professionals. He joined us for a conversation in respect of that public lecture coming your way this Thursday, 6:30 p.m., British Council. It's also going to be virtual. You don't want to miss it. Now, we're going to take a bit of a breather and then return with more on the AM show. But before we do so, let me tell you about the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Drapa, Dubai. You have seen the rest. Now it is time to see the best. Take a break from work and take a break from the South. I'm talking about the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, christened Drapa, Dubai. It is the place to relax, rewind, and re-energize. It is away from the stress of the South, and this is what awaits you. An unforgettable safari experience, an amazing array of wildlife including lions, hippopotamuses, zebras, ostriches, and many others using our spacious and well-secured game tour vehicles or using quad bikes. 2, water sports such as jet skiing, boat or canoe rides, and even more various family games to keep you and your families excited every day. They also have great tourist attractions in the Upper West region, including the Mushroom Rocks, Slave Caves, etc. And you'll be going to see them. So escape from the south, escape to the north, escape to the Royal Cozy Hills Hotel, Drapa Dubai as it's called, for an unforgettable safari experience. Just call 0501 694 280 or 0248 844 463 for reservations or further inquiries now. Do stay with us. More conversations coming your way on the AM show.
Welcome back on the AM show. It's time now for us to talk about medicine. I'm sure this is not the first time you're seeing this, and I've been joined in the studio by Dr. Ruben Tete Agbo. He's usually here to educate us on a number of issues, and the things that this Nitro MX helps to alleviate. But first of all, let me welcome you into the studio, Dr. Ruben Tetiagbo, who is a medical consultant with Phytotech, and it's a pharmaceutical company producing 100% herbal drugs.
Yes.
And I must say, though, that you gave me this the last time when I tried it, and I have some positive things to say about it. But let's start the conversation by asking you, what exactly, to keep our audience up to speed, what does this Nitro MX drug do?
All right, okay. So good morning to your cherished viewers.
Yeah.
All right, okay. So good morning to you from Phytotech Limited. In fact, Phytotech Limited, what we want to do is to produce medication that will be able to help patients in order for them to live healthy. And that is the reason why we have one particular medication called Nitro MS. So this Nitro MS was produced purposely for this. It is to relax the blood vessels. So there is a particular active ingredient in there called nitric oxide. Now, this medication that is Nitro MS, whenever you take in the Nitro MS, what it helps is it helps the blood vessels to relax. Helping the blood vessels to relax. Now, the blood is able to flow very well throughout the system. Now, when your blood is able to flow very well throughout the system, it means that now all the body parts will be able to function very well, including your brain, your penis, every part, your heart, every part.
Right.
So that is what the Nitro MS actually
it
does.
improves blood circulation. So
Yes.
yeah, everywhere there's blood, it helps to improve that.
Exactly.
So the last time we spoke about hypertension, we
Yeah.
spoke about stroke.
Yes.
But you tell me before we came on air that there's an interesting testimonial, a story about someone who had great things to share. Let's start off by telling me that story.
All right, okay. So we had this patient. Most often, we also do telemedicine as well. So there's this patient, I wouldn't mention the name, but his age is 57 years, and then he's somewhere in the eastern region. I wouldn't also mention the town that he's coming from. But he was having these medical problems. So he has been having hypertension for the past 10 years or more than 10 years. And then he also had sudden brain attack, or purposely or mostly we know it as stroke, for the past 5 years. Most often when he checks his BP, the top one, that is what we call systolic blood pressure, is around 170 and above. And then the down part, that is what we call the diastolic, is around 100 and above. And then also currently he was also taking antihypertensive medication, that is orthodox. I wouldn't also mention the brand also, and then the dosage that he was taking. So he called. When he called me, I was like, oh, doc, please, I want to talk to you. And I said, okay, fine, you can talk to me. Why did you call? And then he actually wanted to know, do I have to stop taking my Nitro MX? And I said, oh, why will you stop taking your Nitro MS? Because he was worried that he was going to stop taking the Nitro MS. I said, no, you couldn't stop. So he now told me the story behind what Nitro MS has done for him. He said, oh, he's a stroke patient. He was also having hypertension. When he went to the pharmacy, he has been given Nitro MS, and he was taking the medication. It was helping him from 1st of April 2024. And all of a sudden, he needed to stop because the pharmacy...
Just this year?
Oh, yeah, just this year, April. Okay. After I have come to the studio.
Yeah.
So that is when the patient actually started taking the Nitro MS.
Okay.
So the pharmacist was like, oh, you take it for 30 days and that's all. But apparently, the Nitro MS was actually helping him. So now, he doesn't know why he should stop taking the Nitro MS. This is what he was having. He was having slurred speech, so he couldn't talk like the way you and we can talk. And then also, he was having a bad memory also. He couldn't recall past events immediately. And then also, he was having weakness in both arms, so he couldn't lift up his arms and everything. But when he was taking the Nitro MS, it was helping him. Even though he has been taking the orthodox antihypertensive medication for more than 20 years, but nothing was really happening, but he was still taking it. So I said, oh, you can continue with the Nitro MS. However, we will win you off the antihypertensive medication that is for the orthodox, but not now. So you can still be taking the two products together, but we know what Nitro MS is going to do for you.
Right.
And then he continued with the Nitro MS. And to our amazement, we even have a testimony for that.
Yeah, and I'm actually looking at the picture, the message that the person sent.
Yeah.
And he says, good afternoon, doctor. I just went to the hospital to check my blood pressure, and it had dropped to 116/64 from 170. I have taken Nitro MX in addition to my BP medication for a month now. This is a significant breakthrough for me. I called you some time ago and you advised that I take Nitro MX like you were just saying.
Yeah.
after a minimum of an hour after taking my BP medication. Can you use this message to educate people? Because Nitro MX really works. My libido has also greatly improved, and my wife is even surprised.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's great to know that you're producing this right here in the country, and it's doing amazing.
Yeah.
Last time you came here, though, we didn't say how much this pack cost. So how much is this?
All right, okay, so this is the pack of 10. So in the pharmacies, you get it around 60 cedis for the pack of 10 as well. So you get it. So this one will last you for 10 days. This one will just last you for 10 days. And then you have to buy 3 that can last you for 30 days. So it depends on the pharmacy that you go to, and then you can get the price. Some may have it as 55, some may have it as 60, some may have it as 65. But the average price is 60 Ghana cedis.
So do you take this just as a supplement to improve your blood circulation, or do you have to have a problem that you want this to solve for you?
All right, okay, so you can also take Nitro MS as a supplement.
Okay.
So not necessarily you are having hypertension or any other blood-related problem.
Right.
So you can take it just to boost your system. You can take it to relax your blood vessels. Blood is able to flow very well for you. Now, if you are having, with that one, you take 1 capsule daily, every day. But if you are having a condition like hypertension and co, that is when you talk to the doctor, considering the medications that you're already taking, you may take 1 capsule a day, or you may take 2 capsules also a day. That is what Nitro MS can do for you. So not necessarily you are having a condition, but if you don't have the condition itself, you can also take the Nitro MS also.
Dr. Agbo, thank you for coming. So how do we contact you?
All right, okay, so if you want to contact me, it's on the screen, but you can contact me on this numbers, 024-649-0116. 024-649-0116. When you contact, we'll be able to converse with you and then to see how best we'll be able to solve your problem. Onesh says something, and I always want to say this. It says that awareness is the first step to healing. When you become aware of the disease condition that you are being surrounded with, that is the first process that starts with healing. Therefore, you are aware that there are disease conditions around. There are hypertension cases. People are suffering from stroke. People are going through a whole lot of things. And this is why we have produced Nitro MS for you, that you need to take Nitro MS in order to prevent all these diseases in the future. Not when you are now about to enjoy your retirement with your money, then you have to use all your money to be taking care of your health. Today, you can start, and tomorrow you can live a healthy life.
Thank you so much. And just to clarify, is there any age restrictions, age limits on people who can take this drug?
Okay, so if you are from 12 years and above, you can take the medication.
Okay,
so less than 12 years, we wouldn't want you to take the medication. And then also when you are lactating, we wouldn't want you to take the medication as well. Or you are a pregnant woman, you shouldn't take the medication. Aside these people, anybody at all can take this medication.
Thank you for coming. And this is a great testimonial. This is a fantastic story that you shared. So, I mean, for our audience, if you're looking for something just as a supplement to improve your blood circulation, then this is Nitro MX. My producer is saying in my ear that he should leave one for him, but I'll take it. I'll give it to him. Thank you so much. I couldn't have done that without Benjamin.
Here we go. It's another beautiful day, and we brought it to you. I must say, your hair, the entire outfit, everything is rocking today.
I'm finding my style.
Yeah.
Slowly, yeah.
By and large, you will get there. But let's quickly take our photo of the day. We take you to that place, that land on stilts. Oh, yeah. Look at the move.
Days.
Look at the move. You know, look at the move. But anyway, in Zlezu for you, you know they've developed abilities, kind of like something out of Avatar. They've developed abilities to stay much longer underwater than average people, you know, because they live.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes them resilient.
Anyway, thank you for spending your morning with us here on the AM show. It's always our pleasure to steer conversations, bring you news that matters, analysis that hit home. It's a wrap from the Ben and Sweetie show.
All right. Aren't you going to do your kissing?
Oh, yes. I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah!
Joy News Desk is up next. Do stay.